always forget to turn this on. There we go. Now you can see my face in all of its brightness and glory. Anywho, welcome back to the streams. It has been a while. We've missed a few streams. We don't normally stream on Wednesdays, but we're going to stream for a small chunk of time today. And all we have planned is we're going to do the Faruzan Hangout. If this turns out to be really, really short, we'll do some other stuff. I believe there's some stuff we could react to on the Genshin channel. And I believe if it turns out to be really, really short and there's not a lot there to react to, then we'll just switch games. And then we'll start a new stream and we'll continue One Piece Odyssey. I want to start pushing through the backlog so that I can start streaming other content. And I guess I should probably check in on Shadowverse. It's been a while. I want to play some Shadowverse. Maybe we'll do that. Anyway, if you're watching this on YouTube later, those will be split into different streams, different videos. And that's all we really have to cover here. So let's just switch into the game scene. I was doing dailies earlier when the game crashed, so that's basically the last time I played this. Yeah, that's the last thing I was doing. So, let's see. I guess I could finish my commissions.
Jean will be upset if she catches us lazing around like
this. A little bit of a personal update on what's been going on in my life lately. I mentioned that I was really sick last week and that interfered with the stream schedule a little bit. And frankly, I really want to stream more often right now. I want to be playing games. I want to be having a good time. Ow.
Hey.
And I guess that's really much all that's been going on lately. Work has been cutting back on my hours, so I technically have more time to edit and do little shorts for the YouTube channel. So that's been kind of fun. And I guess in more lighter news, I went and saw the new Spider-Verse movie the other day, and that was really interesting. I won't spoil anything about it for now, but I am super excited to see the continuation of it, because we are getting a continuation of it, and I'm told it's coming out sometime next year. And they're really eating up that balloon. If I had to give my own personal review of the movie, the first, 12 or so minutes feel a little bit slow-paced. Ow. And honestly, I would have preferred it if there was just a lot of the movie, honestly, at that first, 20 minutes, felt like it could have just been in the first movie. Because we get a little bit of an expansion on characters like Gwen's backstory and whatnot. There was a fight scene in the first chunk of the movie that was very visually stunning, but I feel like went on for a little bit too long. And they are amazing feats of animation nonetheless. But me personally, if a scene just kind of keeps going and keeps going and keeps going, it makes me lose interest over time. Because I like plot progression and I like progression of events. But if one event drags on for just a little bit too long, then it just feels like it starts to lose, what's the word? It loses all tension for me. Because it just gets to a certain point where it's like, okay, here's a chase scene. Or just chase scenes in general, actually, are a good example of this. Because a chase scene is really good, and I feel like maybe 1, 2 minutes, 4 minutes is a good amount of time for a chase scene. Once it gets longer than that, it just keeps going, keeps going. You start to wonder, hey, is this going to end anytime soon? And you start worrying more about when is the chase scene going to end, than start caring about any of the actual stakes of the chase scene. And there was a few scenes that were like that. in my opinion. There was a big chase scene, actually, now that I think about it. That was a great example of it. It was really great, and thankfully they broke up the chase scene between two different other scenes, so that didn't really have as much of an issue. But that first fight scene that we get in the movie definitely has that issue, because it goes on for what feels like 12 minutes. And frankly, it was very visually stunning, and I really appreciated it.
Should I report this to the superiors?
Anyway, that's enough about the new Spider-Verse movie. The other thing that's been very interesting and exciting for me lately is One Piece, because the manga is going to be going on break for a month, which means me and the people that I discuss One Piece with are going to be a little bit starved for information. So you'll probably see me in the chats of quite a few of the One Piece streamers like Randy Troy. You'll probably catch me in the chats of some of them. So I'm going to be itching to discuss and make predictions on what the story's going to be doing when it resumes. Not really a One Piece spoiler, but we actually haven't seen Luffy in the manga, or any of the Straw Hats for that matter, for about like 2 months. It was like February or March the last time we were with the Straw Hats, because we cut away to do some world building stuff, and it's been a while because there's been a lot of hiatuses, and now we're just getting another hiatus. It's going to be a month long because the author of One Piece, Oda, is getting laser eye surgery, or he just got laser eye surgery, would probably be more accurate to say, and he's going to be taking some time off to recover from that. Personally, I think he should take more time off. Honestly, the One Piece anime is also technically on a break too, because the next coming episode of One Piece is going to be a recap episode in the anime, so I don't like those or enjoy watching them, but at the same time, I do appreciate them because I have been enjoying the higher quality that the anime has been lately. And personally, I kind of wish the One Piece anime would have switched to a seasonal format years ago. We don't need more than 24 episodes of One Piece a year. That's more than plenty. That's like one episode every other week. Imagine if they just did that. Instead of weekly One Piece, it was bi-weekly One Piece. We would get less One Piece episodes than we would get manga chapters a year, and that would actually allow them to maybe do 1.25 chapters of manga per episode instead of like the 1 or sometimes 8 pages of a manga chapter that they animate. But I've never been a big fan of Toei animation personally, so Well, I guess that ends my daily catch-up as well as my dailies, so I guess all that's left to do is start this, but I guess I might as well turn in the commissions for the rewards, since I kind of forget that's the thing you do sometimes. I don't really play Genshin Daily anymore. I have shifted to a more, pretty much, I don't really play off-stream anymore. And because I got sick that last week, I actually really didn't do any of the events either to get that bow.
Thank you for
So, yeah, I missed out on event stuff just because I was sick and I couldn't really get out of bed. And there's not really much we do on a daily basis, because my daily routine and when I do play this game daily is basically what you're seeing me do right now. It's just refresh these, do my daily commissions, and leave. Maybe I fight a weekly boss, maybe I use my resin, but I don't like using my resin because most of the activities that require me to use my resin are boring to me or feel grindy. The commissions are at least different every day. But that's enough venting. That's not what you are here for. We've been doing these Hangout events, we've been sprawling through them. I decided we'll do back and forth from this point on, I want to do the newer ones because I want to see what the newer ones are like. Because you can definitely see with these older ones that they take a more old schooly visual novel style, where they're like everything's just staring at you. But the video game's cutscenes have really improved since 1.1 and 2.0. So let's see what these new Sumeru series things look like. Alright, a confounding conundrum. A mysterious senior. Go to Partis Di. For those of you who watch Mr. Feet, he likes to call this place Party City, which I think is funny. Partis Di. Party City. I believe the name of Partis Di might actually not have two... I think it is a play on the word paradise. Or some variation of thereof in terms of etymology, but I could be wrong. Very likely I am wrong. So I guess now might be a fun time to mention this if I haven't mentioned it on stream before, but Faruzan has my favorite design for an outfit that any character in Genshin has. Amber is probably up there too, now that I think about it. But, I really like the design of Faruzan's outfit. It's got that whole stained glass window
Even though
type.
most of the Academia's restrictions have significantly relaxed, I'm still a bit worried that the Matra might give her trouble.
I did not expect to see Tanari here. I know that he works here, but it's like... I wasn't expecting to see Tanari in the Faruzan Hangout event.
I need to stay here to keep an eye on the situation. Kale, can you head to Sumeru City and find out why she isn't here yet?
Does it have to be me?
I see the hearts in the corner, so I didn't just accidentally wander into a different mission, so this has to be the Hangout, right?
I'd only assign a job this important to someone I trust. Are you not feeling well?
Oh no, I'm fine. I've completely recovered. It's just that if I'm going to see her, I think I need to mentally prepare myself first.
You know, Kale and Faruzan are not two characters I imagine getting along well together because Kale is socially awkward. And Faruzan is a little bit on the demanding side.
I know. You'll have a tough time if you go by yourself. If we could arrange for someone to accompany you.
In a predicament, I see.
Oh, hey there!
It's been a while. What a coincidence. I was just thinking about asking you to accompany Kale to Sumeru City.
What made you think I have time on my hands? Why'd you think of me?
Sorry, that's not what I meant. It's just that this matter concerns research banned by the Academia. Not the sort of thing you'd shout from the rooftops.
I wonder if there's any missions that I've done already that would be a requirement for this Hangout event.
Also, you happen to know about this situation. There are very few people I can trust to be discreet right now. After giving it much thought, I believe you're the most suitable person for this task.
Research banned by the Academia? And something that I know about?
It's complicated, and this isn't the best place to talk about it. We'll fill you in on the details once she arrives.
Who's she? So this is where we're supposed to canonically meet Faruzan for the first time.
You might have heard about her in Sumeru before. Her name is Faruzan, and she's a very experienced senior researcher.
When you say very experienced...
Let's just say that a huge part of Kasharawar's mechanical research over the past 100 years has used her academic discourse and manuscripts as their foundation.
100 years? Is she human?
She is, but she vanished for 100 years because of a certain incident. She only returned to the Academia after being found in the wilderness a few years ago. Because of that, her current personality can be a bit, strange, as is her attitude towards Kale.
I'm getting a headache just thinking about it.
Since we already really know a little bit about Faruzan, I can already imagine why Kale doesn't want to be around her.
She doesn't have bad intentions, so you don't have to be scared.
I'll try.
Do we really have to invite her here?
Yes. Kasharawar and Spontamod researchers are often quite prejudiced, so I can't trust them with this matter. However, Faruzan isn't influenced by modern thinking. In our previous correspondence through letters, she indicated that she'd be willing to help.
Good for her.
It's already past our arranged meeting time, but she still hasn't shown up.
Did she get caught by the academia?
I don't think so. With her personality, it's more likely that she got wrapped up in some sort of trouble.
Oh boy.
Anyway, can you go with Kale to the academia and check on Faruzan for me?
This is actually starting to feel like just a normal mission. Sure thing.
Thank goodness. I was so anxious.
I'm counting on you two. Kale, don't push yourself too hard. Just go there and see what's going on.
I mean, I'm all for hanging out with Kale more, though. Kale is probably one of my favorite characters, and anybody who's read the manga, I recommend you do so. Ha! You thought that because I haven't pushed you to read the manga again recently, I wouldn't do it here. But you're wrong. I did it anyway. Go read the manga. It's 12 chapters.
Our task is important, but not that urgent. If Faruzan really is in some trouble, come back and tell me about it. We can always reschedule our meeting.
Even if you have like a slow as hell reading speed, it'll only take you like less than 2.5 hours. If you read at a normal pace, you'll probably finish it in about less than 2 hours.
After all, if she's distracted by other things, it'll affect her ability to help us.
All right, let's go.
Woo! Mysterious Senior, find Faruzan in the academia.
Oh yes, and one more thing. You might find her difficult to get along with at first. However, if you address her as Madam, she'll become much easier to talk to.
Address her as Madam. Madam Faruzan. Looks like we're gonna run into her right at the entrance, huh? I kind of wish that I had time to do this before that event came out involving the...
Sorry,
What was it?
What did you say? Oh, could you repeat yourself? As you know, I'm sure, hearing goes with age.
Aren't you like physically like 14 to 18? Whatever. Anyway, I'm kind of upset that stuff like this isn't... characters like this aren't just introduced naturally, fluidly throughout the main story. As much as I love these hangouts, I do think that they would have been beneficial to have the first introduction of a character be naturally through the story. Even if we only see them for like a minute. You don't have to involve them all in the main plot, like, deeply. But you could at least make it so that they're a casual acquaintance. And then have the hangouts be like the second time we meet them. And that's how we get to finally know them.
Faruzan, I said that you need to give us an answer.
Yes. And did you forget to add Madam when you addressed me earlier?
Your hearing is perfectly fine. Madam Faruzan, we don't want to make things difficult for you. However, you haven't been teaching courses or supervising theses these past few years. Isn't this rather problematic as an advisor? Never mind the students, even other advisors are starting to complain.
And who, if I may ask, complained? If they have any issue with me, tell them to talk to me themselves rather than waste any of your time.
It's kind of unprofessional to basically reveal who has lodged complaints with somebody.
You don't have to tell me anything. I very well know that it's those people from Haravatat. How I wish they'd put their time into doing proper research instead.
But, Madam Faruzan, it has been a long while since you last made any practical academic contribution yourself.
Academic contribution cannot simply be divided between the tangible and the intangible. The issue here, I believe, is that the reviewer doesn't understand the very nature of knowledge itself. In any case, makes no sense to use a metric like this to evaluate a mentor. Which sage set this rule anyway? I should write a letter of complaint right this instant.
You know, I didn't think about this until just now, but I would actually be really, really interested to find out what Lisa and Faruzan think of each other, because they're pretty well known within the academia. Lisa was supposedly like the greatest student they've had in like the last 200 years or so.
Wait! Madame Faruzan, please let me finish.
The best student they've had in 400 years was El Dottore.
That's her, alright. But the person with her doesn't look like a Matra.
She looks so young.
Shh! She hates it when people call her young! Her body apparently stopped aging during the year she was gone. So that's why she looks the same as she did 100 years ago.
So she disappeared for 100 years. What in the world happened to her? I mean, Ether, are you one to talk, really? We found out that we were around 500 years ago.
Okay, I think I'm ready for this. Let's go!
Anyway, Akara Crafts and the leader of Kasharawar would like to invite you to collaborate on this project. They're wondering if you'd be interested. Madame Faruzan? Are you listening?
She probably isn't.
Mm-hmm. Ah, Kale! Why are you here at the Academia? Are you feeling better now?
I'm much better, Madame Faruzan. It's all thanks to the Traveler and the Dendro Archon.
Have you been sleeping well? You seem to be developing some eye bags. Is that brat Tainari forcing you to stay up late again?
Maybe. Probably.
No, it's because I'm a slow learner. It's not Master's fault.
It's good to be hardworking, but you need to take care of your health. I'll have to give Tainari a right talking to when I see him.
Uh-oh.
I'll also prepare some health supplements for you.
There's really no need.
Oh no. Why do I get a bad feeling that her health supplements taste terrible?
Ah, and is the person beside you the legendary Traveler?
Pleasure to make your acquaintance, madame.
Oh, I've heard much about you before. In fact, I've been meaning to meet you for a while now. It is thanks to you, after all, that the Academia is finally getting back on its feet. Even Kali's illness is...
Ahem. Madame Faruzan, I believe we were still discussing the collaboration with Akara Crafts.
What are Akara Crafts?
I'd wager it's those Kasharawar dunderheads finding excuses so that I'd go to their darshan. Say no more. I have no plans to change my field of research.
If you're this unwilling to participate in the collaborative project, you can also consider teaching a class. It might be difficult to teach a course with topics that only fall within Haravatat's subjects, but we can't delay this anymore. You need to give an answer. You can teach a course or participate in a collaborative project. If you don't do either, it'll be hard for me to persuade the advisors and students who have been complaining.
This sounds like some internal academia dispute.
Could you not give me a few more days to consider? This matter has been delayed for so long already.
That's precisely the issue. If you don't give an answer today, I fear that someone will soon escalate their complaints to the sages.
I wonder who the new sages are, because they supposedly have been appointed by this point.
What a waste of free time these folks are. Now you two are here at Tainari's behest, I take it. I'm sorry, but given the current situation, it looks like I'll have to come over some other day.
Kale seems to be wanting to say something. Please give me a moment with Kale.
Of course. I shall need some time to think as well.
We're spending more time with Kale than Faruzan so far in this Hangout event.
I'm so busy.
Not that I'm complaining. I really enjoy Kale. She's a fun character, and read the manga. Sorry, something slipped out of my throat there. Anywho. What was I saying? Ah, yes. Kale. What now? She seems so busy.
Master said there's no rush. But I know that he's been busy working on something at Pardee's DI, so he hasn't returned to Gandharville for several days now.
I wonder if it has to do with the mechanical crab from Tanari's story quest.
I feel for Madame Faruzan, but I still want to ask her to come with us. But if I get her in trouble with the academia, then she won't have the time to help Master. What should I do? Oh, this is such a headache.
Let's help her resolve the current problem first.
Yeah, that would be the best for them both. I'll check with Master later and see if there's anything I can help him with. But I'm sure he'll say, the best thing you can do now is study hard, so I don't have to give you remedial lessons.
Okay, hang on. Let me give my best Tanari impression. The best thing you can do now is study hard, so I don't have to give you remedial lessons. No, not gonna do better. The best thing you can do now is study hard, so I don't have to give you remedial lessons. I think that was better. I can stay and help Faruzan.
Huh? Oh yes! This way she can get her problem sorted out quickly, and then she can go see Master. So if I also stay and help... that still sounds kinda scary.
You don't have to force yourself.
Okay then. I'm counting on you.
So if that's one of the branching points, then it might be interesting.
Students from Haravatat or owe Kasharawar a favor. It strikes me that they might be even less happy about such a deal than I am.
Man, I should have wrote down all 6 of the Darshans on a little note card so I know which one does what.
I think I can sympathize with them.
We're back, Madame Faruzan. The Traveler said that he can stay and help you.
Oh, why I couldn't ask for more. In fact, I'm rather curious about the type of person the Traveler is. You were the one who taught Azara a lesson after all. That said, will I be troubling you?
Actually, I kind of feel like Sino did more. Sino and Al-Haytham had more to do with the dealing with Azar. We really didn't do all that much, to be honest. No trouble at all. I specialize in solving problems. No, I'm not saying that to her. That's gonna rope me into all kinds of chaos.
Is that so? Good. It does so happen that I do have something I need help with. Now, should I apply to teach a course with Haravatat, or join the collaborative project that Kasharawar is proposing? Honestly, I don't want to choose either of them.
Tell me more about the Haravatat course. As someone who's aspiring to be a teacher themselves...
You might have heard of it before. Haravatat is an academic faction that researches languages and runes. 100 years ago, Madame Faruzan was a researcher from that Darshan.
Now, not was. Still am.
Yes, of course. But current Haravatat students can't really... understand her direction of research. So even if she opened a course, chances are that no one would attend.
Direction of research?
In summary, I mean to interpret the configurations and solutions of ruin mechanisms via the deciphering of on-site stone carvings and unearthed documents. It'll include research into general documents dealing with such ancient machines.
So in other words, you're looking at the writing on the walls to see if it helps you solve the puzzle.
The research method is supported by Haravatat, yes, but the content deals heavily with both ruins and mechanisms. This will make it difficult for students of this Darshan because they don't understand much about mechanisms. Also, there are fewer and fewer unexplored ruins left nowadays, and Kasharawar researchers have been developing their own theories on mechanisms. As such, they don't need to rely on ancient documents.
So this subject is what you might call a sunset industry. Wow, Aether, pulling out the terms. So she's doing very niche research.
They're far too complacent. Ancient mechanisms are more dangerous and complex than one might imagine. I'm telling you, things weren't like this 100 years ago. All researchers back then were interested in exploring knowledge from a variety of topics. They also gave more respect to unknown mechanisms. Nowadays, all people are interested in are mainstream subjects in popular research. Even if they attended my course, I wouldn't be interested in teaching them. Also, the people here think that my research is outdated and unrealistic, so they keep cutting my funding. Why, I think they could all stand to learn from Kale. She's a hard-working child and respects her elders.
Man, you're a little bit, you're surprisingly nicer to Kale than I thought you would be, to be honest.
Huh? Why me?
Ah, if only those who came to my lectures were more like you. Speaking of which, are you feeling better? You don't have to confine yourself to Gandharvaville anymore, right?
I just remembered that I have a lot of studying to do. I need to head back and find Master.
Wait, I have an idea. Kale needs to learn how to read. Uh-oh. And you need to teach a course. Uh-oh. Sorry, Kale, you're getting thrown under the bus.
Are you telling me to start a reading course for Kale?
Huh?
Uh-oh.
Wait. Although Tainari has academic dealings with the academia, he isn't considered part of it. This means that Kale isn't technically a student.
That is fair. Does she have to hold this class in the academia? Can it be a public course?
No, he's right. The old academia became consumed by their arrogance precisely because they ignored the public. There must surely be many people like Kale and Sumeru who are passionate about learning, but cannot study due to various reasons. The old academia paid no heed to them. But if I start a reading course for Kale as a pilot, perhaps this shall come to benefit many more people in the future.
I'll need to go back and ask if this is in accordance with regulations.
Just ask Alhaitham, he's the scribe. I'm sure he'd be all for it.
Oh, save yourself the extra trouble. I'll come with you. If there's any arguments to be had, we shall sweep them aside together. Traveler, Kale, do wait for us a little while outside the academia. I'll be back in just a moment.
Wait! Let's catch up with her.
A mysterious senior complete. And now we have to do an essential classic. So that was probably the end of the first branch. So I wonder where we're going next.
I can't believe she rushed right in after we arrived. She's really headstrong. Oh, how did things turn out like this?
Did I end up giving her a bad idea? You seem quite scared of her.
No, not really. Madame Faruzan is a brilliant scholar. Even Master thinks so. If she's really going to teach me how to read, it'll definitely be much better than me bashing my head against the wall. It's just that she can get a bit too passionate sometimes. I don't know how to handle that.
The way she treats you is completely different from how she treats the researchers.
Maybe it's because she wants to take me in as a student? It's just like that researcher said. The academia has completely changed during the 100 years that Faruzan was gone. I don't really get it, but it does seem like Haravitat's students aren't optimistic about the prospects of doing research with her. Students who are interested in mechanisms and applications of the elements generally enroll in Kasharawar and Spontamod. Madame Faruzan also refuses to accept random students just to make up numbers. She still hasn't found a student she likes, even after all this time back.
So she's a teacher with no
But
students.
she seems to like my attitude toward learning, so she often asks me if I'm willing to become her student.
I feel like this is a problem that Nahida could sort out, or the Grand Sage, whoever that's gonna be, I guess. Because the problem, the way that this school is set up, is, let's use American collegiate systems as an example. Generally, in a collegiate system, you join a house or a field of study, like, let's say, history, science, etc., etc., but there's a lot of subcategories within that. Like, for instance, my major is it's a SSTP, which is teaching in history and social science, but it's like a broad umbrella of social science. So I can teach, there's like history, sociology, and political science. I believe the philosophy department is also somewhere in that umbrella as well. As well as stuff like Chicano studies, Chinese history. There's a lot under the umbrella. But at the same time, there's minors that I could take. Like, I could qualify for a WGSSS minor, which would be like a, what I guess the meme would be to call it a women's studies minor. I could technically qualify for that within a year, I guess. But the academia seems to have everything divided up strictly within these 6 darshans, and there's no like benefit or reason to take courses outside of it. And I feel like they need to restructure the whole system so that there can be cross-learning. Just anything, because the problem with most education systems in general is there's a really lack of promoting education for the purpose of education, where education is mostly used as like almost like a gatekeeping type tool to prevent people from moving up in the world. It's like, you need this diploma in this field, or if you want to be able to play in it. It's a weird. Education is kind of being used like gatekeeping in real life. It's kind of sad.
It's because I'm a slow learner that I have no choice but to stay up late and study. Whenever she compliments me, I feel really guilty.
So you're scared of her because she keeps asking you to become better, asking you to become her student?
It's not that. Madame Faruzan respects my choices. She hasn't been trying to persuade me, especially since she knows I need to rest and recuperate. She sometimes brings food to Gandharvaville for me, and each time she says that Master can't find out.
That sounds like something a grandmother might do for her granddaughter.
Now that you mention it, it does feel a bit like that. Do I really look that young?
Aren't you like 12 to 14? I'm trying to remember how old Kale is. I think she's like in the 10 to 14 age. I don't remember how young she is, but you are young.
Kale, Traveler, thank you for waiting. The issue has been resolved.
That was fast.
I argued with the higher-ups and convinced them of the practicality and necessity of educating the general public. If I'm not mistaken, they're the students of my classmates' students. They're a lot less forceful than their predecessors, though. I'd say they caved rather quickly.
Amazing.
Were they convinced or were they coerced?
It's just that we need to fill in every single page of the application. It's been a century, but the academia is as picky as ever. Let's see now. What do we need to fill in? Course name, learning objectives, teaching methods, course materials. I suppose we can fill in the course name last.
Our learning objective is to teach people to read, right?
That's a bit too general, I'd say. After all, this class's target audience isn't toddlers or children, but rather people who already know the basics of reading. As such, we'll need a more specific learning objective. How about proficiency in reading and writing?
That's true. If we use children's teaching materials, we'll only end up wasting a lot of time on things that students would already know.
And you have your job as a forest ranger, Kale. People who attend this course in the future are also likely to have life commitments. We need more effective teaching methods.
Welcome to the Arena of Fate.
Hey, welcome to the stream.
Master always tells me that practice is the best way to learn. That's why I often ask him to help me find simple books to read.
I imagine Lisa also mails you a bunch of books.
It must have been difficult to get books in Sumeru in recent years, no? Tainari really went the extra mile for you.
I'm doing okay.
Expanding literacy is a capital notion. Now that the academia is easing restrictions on the circulation of books, there should be more people who have become interested in reading. It's a great time to conduct this course.
I try to take great care of my hair. I actually stopped measuring it, though. I see it's going down past... It's almost halfway down my torso. Just a couple inches to go. Easing restrictions, course, circulation book, me interested in reading. Great time to conduct this course. So we've got teaching methods sorted out. How do we choose our course materials then?
So that's next on the list. I fear that I'm at a loss as to which books youngsters like nowadays. Would The Legend of Antara be too old of a story?
So the key is the thing that I do that probably most people don't do is I do wet my hair every so often and brush it just to maintain some level of sheen in it. And one of the things is you should always use conditioner. Well, not always, I guess. Whenever you wash your hair, you should probably use shampoo, and then I use conditioner at least every other time because you don't want to be over washing it, because then it'll dry out faster. As for dandruff, I used to have dandruff problems. I just switched to a different shampoo, and I don't have that problem anymore. I used Head & Shoulders for a while. I just stopped using Head & Shoulders because it's expensive compared to like much cheaper non-brand name shampoos. It's like, I can get this big bottle of shampoo for $5 or this thing of Head & Shoulders for $12. 2-in-1 is pretty good. If you use 2-in-1, I would just recommend that you don't shampoo every time you wash your hair. It also could be that you're using water that's too hot, and that's drying out your scalp as it evaporates. The more you get used to cold showers, I guess, the easier it is to take care of your scalp.
Welcome to the Arena of Fate.
Welcome to the stream. Next on with the list, I'm afraid I lost which books youngsters nowadays. What was The Legend of Antara? Told to be too old of a story. Even a centurion like you finds that tale old? How old is that story exactly?
Fair. Kale, what have you been reading lately?
I think she's been reading like fairy tales, right?
Me? I've been reading light novels from Unizuma.
Light novels, that's
I
right.
heard that ever since we were allowed to sell books in Sumeru again, some people set up stalls at Treasure Street to sell light novels. I've been meaning to go there and check it out.
Man, I need to start reading light novels again. I've been missing reading light novels.
Light novels? This is my first time hearing about such a thing, but I doubt I will procure suitable teaching materials from the House of Dana. Treasure Street it is.
I play a lot of other things. I only started playing Genshin, like, in October of last year. We play Shadowverse, we're doing a run-through of One Piece Odyssey right now, and other stuff is going on as well. I do plan on playing Diablo 4, but I'm gonna wait till the hype dies down a little bit. We have emotes.
Wait for us, Madame Faruzan! You wouldn't think someone as fast as her is over 100. Let's pick up the pace and catch up to her.
Like, now I get why this chapter is called Essential Classic. Oh, she went down.
What a long and mildly ungrammatical title. And why is the cover so colorful?
We don't allow soliciting in the chat, but at the same time, I have a large list of graphic designers that I do use when I do choose to use them. What? A long, mildly ungrammatical... Oh, she's gonna make fun of light novels with stupidly long names, isn't she?
Is this your first time seeing a light novel, ma'am? Oh, they're the most popular books nowadays.
Hey, I
Would you like me to
recognize that
recommend something?
voice. Marco Meatball again.
Fine. One shouldn't judge a book by its cover after all. Maybe browse through the books here.
Of course. Why don't you try this one? It's Outlander Brigade, when the wind of death blew towards the blonde samurai.
God damn it. We helped the author write this one. Oh, this is the one about the Civil War in Sumeru.
I heard that this book's author describes action in vivid detail.
Now I've only skimmed through a few pages, but it feels like it's all fight scenes. There are only subjects and predicates, and the syntax is a tad simple.
Probably want to go through an author with a little bit more variety then.
Subjects? Predicates?
I haven't taken phonics in over 20 years, so I don't remember what predicates are, but I know what subjects are. I'm assuming subject is what you're talking about, and the predicates are the descriptors like adjectives.
The protagonist just ends up fighting in every scene with no proper build-up. Will anyone even enjoy a story that's only comprised of fights?
You'd be surprised. There's a reason why shonen manga is popular. There might be people out there who will. It's for readers that don't care about plot.
How about... the good thing about being reincarnated as a hilly troll is that
this
I only
one.
need to eat Sunsetias to become stronger.
Oh god, I remember this one. I remember this one getting mentioned, I think, in the Yaimiko story mission.
A reincarnation isekai story? Those are pretty popular right now.
Oh, golly, don't get me started.
Isekai? What in the world is that? Also, why does it become stronger by eating Sunsetias?
These are what we call tropes.
Tropes? Ah, those fictional rules used to push the plot forward, yes? They're definitely effective in achieving a distancing effect.
Not so much tropes. I think the word you're looking for is common archetypical things.
Sorry. What is this distancing effect?
I'm really happy that Kale's still here.
However, this book doesn't explain how reincarnation correlates to becoming stronger. Such an illogical rule will affect the coherence of the story. Will readers really accept this?
I am imagining you don't read a lot of fiction, do you, Faruzan? There might be people who will. It's for readers who don't care much about logic.
How about this? I had to fight tooth and nail to get this in stock.
Oh no. I have a bad feeling we're getting reincarnated as Gucci Ai.
Oh, that's the latest volume of Onibudo.
Wait, is that the one that Ayaka's alternate costume is her dressed up as the main character?
Now that's a rather normal title length. Oh,
Thank-
Kale, do you like this series?
Normal title length.
Yes, but I don't like it that much.
Oh, hang on. Remember, I think I have one of them saved on Reddit. Let me see if I can find it on my phone. Hang on. Should be in my gallery. Reddit. There was a ridiculously long light novel title that I took a photo of it somewhere. Is it in downloads? Oh, come on. Please tell me I still have this photo. Oh, did I get rid of it? I think I did. That's a shame. Or maybe it's in here. Oh, wait, no, I found it. Here we go. Here is a ridiculously long light novel title. Get a load of this. Starting now. Hello, I am the hero's father. I am sorry for the trouble my stupid son has caused. I'm going on a journey to beat up my son, who has abandoned his childhood fiancée and is doing whatever he wants out there. Even if he apologizes now, it's already too late. That is a light novel title. It's publication 2023 ongoing. Let's read the description of the... I only took a photo of it, so here's the brief description is... Croix, who is a lumberjack in a remote village, spends peaceful days with his beautiful wife Wheel and his only son Ulka. That's the description of the light novel is shorter than the title. She clearly recognized it as the latest volume at a single glance.
Madam, are you going to use this series as teaching material?
Let me see. The dialogue flows quite well, but there are too many phrases here that I don't recognize. Third eye of perception, illusory mirror, and so on. Are these terms that are tied to tropes?
I also thought those names were strange when I was reading them.
She was able to say those phrases in such a serious tone. I guess that's the language researcher from Hravatop for you.
It's impossible to derive the meaning of these phrases in isolation. Also, their morphological properties are quite pedestrian, really. Or did the protagonist purposely create these strange names to disorient their foes?
What are the names of your attacks again? I think it's because names are cool. I think it's because names are fancy. We'll say fancy.
So there's no deeper purpose. It's quite hard to understand stories written these days.
Yeah, that's one of the weird things about anime that I used to think was dumb, like 20 years ago, but now it's like, no, that's the coolest thing ever.
You're right. It's such a weird book. But you keep wanting to read the next page.
Oh, who am I kidding? I thought it was cool back then, too.
Even the most popular book in Sumeru back then had greater depth than anything written today.
What was the most popular book back then?
Yes. A Bahumano researcher wrote it while researching folk legends. The plot had many twists. The world building was fantastic, and even the writing could withstand scrutiny. When it was still being published, many people in the academia were reading it. Even the sages back then all described the story as a timeless classic. The series must have concluded after so many years, right? Perhaps it's even more popular now.
If she says before Sun and Moon, I'm going to be a little bit blowing my lid.
Is there a book like that in Sumeru? I've never heard of such a thing before. What's the title?
It's called Tales of Shariar. Do you sell it here?
Tales of Shariar. Was that in the Byakuku collection?
Tales of Shariar? I don't think I've heard of that before. When was it published?
About 115 years ago.
About 100 years ago.
100 years ago? Are you pulling my leg? What sort of book can remain popular for 100 years?
I don't know. Shakespeare still gets read today, and those are plays. When was the Hobbit written? Because that was written a long ass time ago too. The Lord of the Rings books are pretty old. People don't realize that. There's a lot of great writers from like the 1910s and 1920s. Some of their books are still read. I know that we read The Great Gatsby when I was in high school. That book is somehow still a little bit popular. Catcher in the Rye, Of Mice and Men. Nothing that's 100 years old, but there's plenty of books that are plenty old that are still being read today.
The Legend of Antara is popular to this very day, isn't it? I just heard someone telling it a few days ago in a cafe. If an old story like that is still being shared, then Tales of Shariar must be even more popular.
Even if that is the case, I really don't carry that book here in my store.
What? Is that because of the academia's strict control over books in recent years?
Probably.
I can't believe they've allowed the people of Sumeru to become so uncivilized. How can they not know about the Tales of Shariar?
I guess you weren't really aware of this, but before the whole Nahida quest line in the Archon quest, they were pretty much on the verge of banning all of the arts. So creative writing, I think, was first up on the chopping block.
Tales of Shariar. Oh, wait. I think I heard an antique seller on the other end of Treasure Street mention that name before. I mean, it is a book from 100 years ago. Why don't you try asking for it there?
Yep, I feel like an antique store would be a good place to look.
Tales of Shariar is considered an antique now? How could the Academia have let such an excellent work of literature be forgotten like this?
Sounds like it's time for a reprint.
Traveler, Kale, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. Let's meet at the antique sellers.
Now, you want to feel old. God. I remember reading each of the Harry Potter books when they first came out. I was one of those people that was always excited when the next Harry Potter book was coming out.
Bad.
God. God, I'm old. A Series of Unfortunate Events is another one of my favorite childhood reading books. I was actually pretty excited for the Netflix remake. The Netflix remake was pretty good, in my opinion. It was very stylized. I liked it. A lot.
You asked me why I'm scared of Madame Faruzan, right? It's not because I don't know how to respond to her kindness. It's because I'm afraid of that ancient language she researches, because I can barely understand any of it. What if she uses ancient text as teaching material?
The book's only 100 years old, Kale. I doubt it counts as a book written in an ancient language.
Even so, what if researchers from 100 years ago like to use ancient languages in their books? We've got to catch up to her!
It was an adaptation of an ancient folktale, so maybe? Where are we going? Oh wow, she didn't go that far.
Found it! The 5th volume of Tales of Shahryar.
The 5th volume.
Wow, you actually found it!
I never thought this book would ever get sold.
All right, that's our teaching material secured. We also now know what to call this course. Analysis of Classical Texts. After all, this book is definitely worthy of being called a classic.
Can I take a look? Luckily the language being used here isn't ancient at all. I can recognize a few words here and there. Huh? But why aren't there pictures in this book?
Wait, I always forget that light novels have pictures in them sometimes. I got so used to dense reading over the years where nobody would put a single damn picture in their book that I kind of forgot that that's something people just used to do. I don't see pictures used in in almost any books now. Like a lot of the books I have in storage, like just in my own home, very few of them have pictures. And if they do, it's like, here's a little picture at the chapter title, and that's about it. Or maybe an illustration on the spine or cover.
As long as the writing is good, readers won't need any illustrations to imagine the scenes. Worry not. I shall thoroughly explain the difficult sections. You'll like this book. I know it. After all this time, I wonder if Aaliyah and Aziz ended up together. And who obtained the Desert Gem in the end? Sir, do you have the subsequent volumes of this series?
I don't think so.
Is that so? And here I thought I could finally read the ending. Never mind. I'll keep searching for the later volumes myself.
That's one of my greatest worries in life, is that I'm gonna just get well into a book series and not be able to finish it because it won't be finished for like another 10, 20 years. This is the problem of being a One Piece fan. Been reading One Piece for 20-odd years now, and it's gotten closer to ending, at least. We might see the end of One Piece in the next 10 years.
If I'm to use it as a teaching material, it's better to start earlier in the series. Where are the first 4 volumes? Why aren't they all together?
I'll tell you this much for sure. If I die before One Piece ends, I'm gonna be haunting this planet until I get to read that ending.
I don't have those either. Actually, this is the only volume I have.
Yipes. Rare books indeed.
Is this series really that popular?
No. It's not popular at all. Rather, there's absolutely no demand for it.
No demand? Impossible. Back then, I'd come across at least 3 groups of people talking about it during a single stroll at the Academia.
Seriously? No one told me that this book was anything special when I first got it.
Where did you get this from? Can you still contact the seller?
I'm afraid not. This book was sold together with a whole bunch of antique furniture. I didn't even notice it initially. Otherwise, the Matra would have come knocking. Wait, is this book actually worth a lot? It can't be, right?
I'm afraid not.
That's impossible. No matter how strict the academia was, there's no way Tales of Shariar could have fallen into such a state.
I do remember a passerby skimming through the book a few days ago. However, he simply sighed and left.
He sighed? Why would he react like that? Given the quality of Tales of Shariar, he should have been entranced after a single glance.
What if it's Mr. 9 and he was looking for the final copy of the final volume, and this is just volume 5?
I'm sorry. Traveler, Kale, please give me a moment. I'd like to look through this book first.
Quickly flips through the pages.
Why is there another misunderstanding between Ali and Aziz? Also, why is there no mention of the Desert Gem at all? And a new character is introduced with no foreshadowing at all? Also, what are all these new names and terms? Is this really the Tales of Shariar I know?
Well, that passerby reacted in much the same way.
Who was the passerby in any case?
It's Madaf from the cafe over there. You know, the fellow who spends all day telling the legend of Antara.
Oh, the person Faruzan mentioned earlier.
Since that's also a very old story, maybe he knows a thing or two about that, Tales of, whatever it's called.
Then let's go ask around at the cafe. Huh? Madam Faruzan?
Huh? Oh, yes. Let's go.
Interesting. To Pupsa Cafe. I always forget you can go into this cafe. It looks like most of the other houses in the area. It just has tables outside. Now that I'm thinking about other games I play, I guess now might be a fun time to mention that I've been considering going back and continuing my playthrough of Darkest Dungeon. Because I did really enjoy the game, it's just, it's so long and grindy when you lose progress.
Another day, another empty room.
Oh, that's right, you're the storyteller.
Excuse me? But are you Mada?
Yeah, I've done a daily commission for this guy a few times.
Yes! Are you here to listen to my story?
Well, we actually came to ask about something else.
I see.
Sorry.
It's fine. I'm used to it, more or less. So, how can this terribly unpopular storyteller help you?
Do you know about Tales of Shariar?
Huh? Tales of Shariar? Why, I can barely remember the last time anyone talked about it. My master always talked about how incredibly popular that book used to be. However, I tried reciting a few chapters of it at the cafe, and I found that it's even less popular than the Legend of Antara.
Your master?
Yes, the one who taught me how to be a storyteller. He said that Tales of Shariar was written by his master's master's master. He also said that this great-great-grandmaster was an academia researcher, and that even the sages liked the series. He wrote 4 volumes back then, and the reviews just got better and better. You couldn't find a single person in Sumeru who hadn't read his books.
And then? What happened next? Why doesn't anyone know about Tales of Shariar now?
Oh, it's hard to tell when it comes to trends. One day everyone likes stories like that, and the next day their tastes change completely. Instead of writing a proper ending, this great-great-grandmaster kept trying to extend the story. To tap into popular trends, he added a lot of tropes. Then, starting from the 5th volume, the reviews started to go downhill.
How could that be? Then what happened to Tales of Shariar in the end?
In the end, there's no ending. The great-great-grandmaster tried to write a few more volumes, following whatever trends were popular at the time, but the trends kept changing right as he published his books.
Ooh, and he was always behind the times, behind the fad.
He got so infuriated that he stopped writing altogether and focused on his research instead.
What? So there's no ending? The readers didn't care?
By that time, only a very small number of people were reading Tales of Shariar. Anyway, my master probably exaggerated. How could a work possibly have been that popular? The only tangible thing my great-great-grandmaster left is the original draft of Legend of Antara. He also left behind many theses from his research phase. When my master talked about Legend of Antara, he'd even quote from those theses. My master is a much better storyteller than me. Even when we're telling the same story about Antara, he's always able to draw in a huge crowd. But even he won't recite Tales of Shariar due to its ever-changing writing style and its lack of an ending.
Oof.
So, Antara's story is the one that lasted through the years.
Well, not even sages can definitively ascertain the quality of something like a story. In the end, only time can separate the classics from the fads.
Only time?
Only time.
Madame Faruzan?
It's been 100 years. Perhaps some things I once believed to be great aren't so after all.
You know, I think you don't have to worry about that. The story's decline might not have been due to changing trends. It doesn't matter if it's a classic or a fad. What matters is that you like it.
Yeah! Master helped me find a lot of famous books at first. But in the end, I realized that I couldn't get into them. No matter how good those stories are, I can't improve my skills if I can't bring myself to read them in the first place. I think the best books for me are the ones I like.
The problem is not actually about improving your reading skills, but I suppose the principle is the same.
Huh. Indeed. That is true. Readers' interests and trends of a time are not things that are so easily predicted. What was popular 100 years ago could be completely forgotten in modern times, and yet 100 years, as far as history is concerned, is but a blink of an eye. If Tales of Shariar hadn't chased after trends and instead stuck to its original style from start to finish, it might have stood some chance of gaining renewed popularity. No, even if that didn't happen, at least it would be a work that was true to itself.
Yep. Then it could have been cult classic status.
Huh? Our conversation just got a lot more serious.
I don't really get what you're talking about, but it does sound sensible. Looks like I also have to hang in there and tell Antara's story well.
You should think about the present first. You should think about your income first. Nah, present.
How unseemly. I almost got carried away because of a single book. Well then, we should get back to the matter of our teaching material. It looks like we can't use Tales of Shariar now.
How about the Legend of Antara then?
No, it's much too old.
Ooh.
Oh.
You could have waited till we walked out of the room to say that.
Kale, you found a book that you liked at the bookstall, yes?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the book that Ayaka's outfit is based off of. We could check in the store after this.
Yes, but I don't really...
Then we'll use that book as our teaching material. Now that I think about it, using a book that you like is the most suitable choice for teaching you how to read. As for the academia, as long as we come up with an appropriate course name, we should be able to get away with this.
Appreciation of popular literature, analysis of popular literature might do the trick.
My, it sounds like you've dealt with the academia before. Let's go with that.
I've taken a lot of college courses. I've taken appreciation and analysis courses. They're pretty common. I was originally a film student, believe it or not. I've taken many analysis of film courses over the years.
Now then, let's return to the book vendor in a bit and buy the latest volume of this Onibudo for Kale. But if I wish to use it as teaching material, I have to read it first.
Huh?
Uh-oh.
Speaking of which, other than third eye of perception and illusory mirror, I also espy some unfamiliar phrases from the reader's messages at the back of the book. Such things as, even if it reminds me of my dark history, I still can't help but be drawn in by the story. And the author has written all the things that I only dare whisper into a tree hollow.
Uh-oh. The author shared fucking write-in comments in the back of the book, and both of those are Kale's comments.
Why do people use dark history to refer to awkward or embarrassing memories? Is this some slang that was invented in the last century? If one of our learning objectives was researching linguistic changes over the past 100 years, it might make it easier to get these books approved as teaching material.
Oh, I can tell you what that's all about. Apparently, in their youth, some people used to imagine themselves as someone burdened by fate, fighting against the world, etc.
Thank you, Madop. I believe in Japan we refer to them as chunibos, or something similar.
But as they grew older, they started to become embarrassed by such memories. Some would write those fantasies into novels, while others would entrust such tales to tree hollows.
Mata? You know, I suddenly have the urge to hear a story about Antara.
I'm so sorry, Kale.
Huh? Why so suddenly?
I think we can ignore the whole dark history thing for now.
I knew it. There will always be people who love the golden oldies. Now, let me tell you all about the ancient hero, Antara.
Picture time? Stories of the past. Tales of the past remain radiant even now.
Hey, where's everybody going?
How can I keep people interested in hearing my stories? You alright? Just drink the acting manager's coffee that she brought over. I feel fine physically, but my mental state is troubling. Everyone clearly liked my hero stories at first, but why are they rarely coming to hear them now? Have sophisticated mighty heroes already fallen out of fashion? I don't think that's the problem. Really? Then why does everyone leave before the story ever gets going? Some guests from afar have even said that the stories aren't as fresh as those from Leeway, about gods descending to the battlefield and maid knights fighting against giant mechanical beasts and I can't believe it. He referenced the fucking thing from the... Does that mean that every route in the fucking Noel hangout is canon? But those stories sound simply outrageous. I find it really hard to accept a story that can't immerse listeners in the same sense of realism. Oof. One of these days we need to take you all the way over to see Silver Tongue John. Alright, we got one ending down. How many more endings are there to go? I forgot I have the stupid pale. Ah, they're all Noel. There's 5 endings. Serious senior, an academic problem. There's 3 branching points from here. Oh, this looks very straightforward. So there's... So we got to go through the speed through the compensation with Faruzan, Kali, and Nawada, and we tried teaching a course. So now it's time to go the other route.
No, she seems. Master said there's no rush. I feel for Madame Faruzan, but if I get her in trouble with the academia,
we could try to sucker her into Partis DI. We'll go the other. We'll do this route last.
yeah, that would be. But I'm sure he'll say the best thing you can do now is step
I can
up.
stay and help
Oh,
Faruzan.
yes. So if I also stay and help,
Let's observe the situation first.
that okay then.
I have to teach students from Haravatat, or owe Kasharawar a favor. It strikes me that they might be even less happy about such a deal than I am.
I think I can sympathize with them.
We're back, Madame Faruzan. The Traveler said that he can stay and help you.
Oh, why I couldn't ask for more. In fact, I'm rather curious about the type of person the Traveler is. You were the one who taught Azar a lesson after all. That said, will I be troubling you?
I specialize in solving problems.
Is that so? Good. It does so happen that I do have something I need help with. Now, should I apply to teach a course with Haravatat, or join the collaborative project that Kasharawar is proposing? Honestly, I don't want to choose either of them.
I think collaboration is the way to move forward. Let's hear what Kasharawar Collaborative Project is about.
I don't know if Tainari's told you about this before, but while my research involves learning about ruins and the mechanisms within them, I don't belong to Kasharawar, which specializes in researching mechanisms, nor am I in Spontamod, which specializes in researching energy flow. Instead, I'm part of Haravatat, which specializes in languages and scripts.
I'm surprised you haven't just switched Darshans, to be honest. He said that you are a very senior researcher in the field of mechanisms. You don't belong to Kasharawar or Spontamod? Huh.
She has been invited to Kasharawar multiple times to continue her research, but she's rejected them each time.
Just listen to how they introduce themselves. In the future, Kasharawar will be the only Darshan with the ability to research mechanisms. There's no such thing as exclusivity in knowledge.
I agree with that statement.
Besides, the current Kasharawar is more concerned about how mechanisms can be used in everyday life, while my research involves textual analysis of ruins. If they're trying to use the collaborative project as an excuse to have me reconsider again...
No, that's not it. The request this time is from Akara Crafts. The representative of Kasharawar recommended you to them, Madame Faruzan. In truth, she told me that it's because she respects you a lot.
Oh, respect? Oh, my.
Ah, flattery will get you everywhere, it seems.
Putting aside my ideological differences with Kasharawar, I suppose I must acknowledge this attitude of theirs. At the very least, they're bounds above those decrepit Haravatat fools.
Wouldn't hurt to hear him out.
Yeah, Akara Crafts is a pretty nice shop.
Oh, that's the place that we
Both
took
of you feel
Yoimiya
as
and
such,
her
I shall first hear
Act
this
2
proposal.
story quest. I think.
In summary, Akara Crafts wants to design a series of early learning toys that will cultivate curiosity and learning in children.
Early learning toys. Interesting.
The academia agreed to work with them because they hope that these toys can help children become excellent researchers in the future.
Interesting. I used to play a lot with like brain teaser puzzle toys, and I really still enjoy those even as an adult.
True. The current academia is in need of some new blood. If the children start learning now, perhaps I can find some talented students in a few years.
If you want to see like videos on those types of things, I would recommend you look up the magician Chris Ramsey. He has a YouTube channel where he covers a lot of those. He does a lot of puzzle solving on his channel as well.
Madame Faruzan, you still haven't found any students?
Anise, Kasharawar's representative, should be staying in the inn at Port Ormos. If you want more details, you can find her there.
Port Ormos? Now there's a place I haven't been to in a long time. I wonder how much it's changed.
I probably can't join you since Port Ormos is a little far from here. I should probably go back and report to Master. and then review today's homework.
Bye, Kale. We enjoyed your company.
No worries. Go do your homework, Kale. Once I'm done with everything here, I'll head over to Pardistii.
I'll take you there.
Thank you. Why, I'd even call this a rare chance for a curious researcher like myself to observe the legendary traveler up close.
I think it's funny that Sumeru's like academia outfits have this like very Middle Eastern, long, flowy with lots of space robe-like garbs, and then we have Faruzan, who's supposed to be like 100 years from now, and her outfit almost has like a more Greek-like design, almost like a toga or like robe that's held together with like strings and twine. Oh, I thought we would be going down to the bottom, because we're staying up here. Wonder if we'll run into Dory.
Madame Faruzan! Oh, it's really you. Did you change your mind?
All right, calm down. Let me be clear. I'm still not all that interested in Ksharawar. I'm just here to see how the project is going. After all, you're here as representatives of the academia in this collaboration. The reputation of all research is at stake here, so I will not simply stand by should mistakes get made.
Interesting.
Either way, it's good that you were willing to come. Now, we've given Akara Crafts many ideas over the past couple of days. However, their owner thinks that our designs are too complicated, which will drive production costs too far up.
That makes sense.
That's expected. Students who have never had to deal with budgetary constraints probably don't understand how important it is to keep costs low. How enviable. Oh,
By any chance, has it ever been difficult for you to get funding for your research?
If you join the Ksharawar, your budget will be as big as you want it to be. I guarantee it.
That's enough. I will not repeat myself. Take me to Akara Crafts owner first, if you please.
All right. He's usually at the slope up ahead recruiting volunteers to test out his toys. Let's just head over.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of a different store clerk then. I think. Keyword, I think. There's a lot going on in Port Ormos, and I've honestly barely explored most of it.
Mamdu, the one I recommended is here.
Oh, so you're, Madame Faruzan?
Yes, that's me.
Oh, wonderful. We haven't been able to make any progress on our collaboration recently. We've made many suggestions, but Miss Anise thought that those ideas were too simple and wouldn't be effective in training the mind.
These early learning toys are meant to help the academia train future researchers, after all. If they're too simple, then how are they any different from regular toys?
We're gonna end up making a Rubik's Cube, aren't we?
But if they're too complicated, not only will they be expensive to produce considering our production capabilities, but they won't have much broad appeal to Sumeru's children either.
So the design can't be too complicated, but it can't be too easy to play with either.
I remember that in your notes, many contraptions have managed to fulfill complex functions despite using simple parts. Maybe we can do something similar with these early learning toys.
The contraptions in my notes? I didn't create those. I simply took the contraptions in the ruins apart and analyzed them. But now that you mention it, the ruins did have things like that. Do you have a pen, paper, and scissors? I'll make a paper prototype.
Ooh, that's a fun way to do toy development. I love prototyping.
You have an idea already? I suppose I should have expected as much of a respected academia senior researcher. We do have those. Yes, please, help yourself.
This guy seems super excited.
Oh, you're done already?
Ah, I've seen those.
Let me explain. These 3 thick lines represent 3 poles.
I see.
These paper strips of varying lengths represent rings of different sizes. They can be slotted onto the poles and stacked up like a tower.
Well, that is easier to make than I expected. So, how is this game played?
That's very simple as well. You just need to shift the tower from this pole to another pole.
Interesting.
Isn't this a little too simple? Even by the standards of an early learning toy, I mean.
Of course, when moving each ring, the paper strips in this case, you must follow one rule. You can only move one ring at a time, and you can't place a bigger ring on top of a smaller one.
Uh-huh.
It's like building a tower. The rings in the 3 poles must be stacked from big to small. I named this toy Pagoda Stack.
Pagoda stack.
Pagoda stack.
Sounds like a logic puzzle.
That sounds way too simple. Even I feel like it's missing something.
Give it a try and you'll find out if it's simple or not. I heard from Anis that you find volunteers to try out the toys, right? Why don't we do the same for this game?
It's such a simple toy. There's no need to...
Mamdu, let's just do as she says.
Okay, then.
Gathers nearby volunteers over, and Faruzan explains the rules.
And that's how you play this game. You can all give it a try. Let's see who's able to move the tower to another pole in the smallest number of steps.
You called everyone here for such a simple toy?
It doesn't look like it'll take that many steps.
It's a lot harder than you realize because you can't put a big ring on a small ring. So basically, you're going to immediately have to move one piece over to one of the empty ones, another piece over to one of the empty ones, then you have to move that piece back on, then back. Like, I've solved the whole thing already in my head. But it's a lot of steps.
Come on, we all promised to help Mr. Mamdu test out the new toys. He said he'd give us new Genius Invocation TCG cards.
So they were lured in by the promise of a different toy.
Ugh, fine. Let's get this over and done with so we can head back and play cards.
Done. It took me 19 steps.
Hang on. How many rings were there on there? There was like 4? 3? So let's see. So let's do some napkin math on a napkin. So it looks like this, right? So this is what she drew basically, right? So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and then 5, and then 6, 7, 8. So it's 8 steps to get everything from 1 to the second without following the rules. So 16 seems like a reasonable number to get it all done. And then you just repeat the process to get to the final area. Or, you know, you could do it in 3 steps by just going... Or no, you can only move 1 ring at a time, right? That was a rule? Okay, so then ignore my napkin math. Napkin math is for elevator pitchers and people who want to ignore screenwriters, I guess, that are on strike.
Huh? It took me over 20 steps.
I only needed 18 steps.
Not bad. Looks like you're all familiar with the rules now. Then let's increase the difficulty. The next tower will be 5 layers tall. Now then, give it a shot.
Yeah, so let's see. 1, 2, If you only can... Yeah, I actually don't see how you solve this if you can only move them one at a time. And you can't lift only one at a time. If you can lift the bottom, it makes it simpler. I guess you can backtrack. Yeah, it gets more complicated the more you have to backtrack. Then you would have to backtrack a bit. So you have to move one over and the other. Then you move the small one back. Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay. I think I figured it out.
Wait, there's more?
Well, since we're already here, why don't we just give it a try?
An extra layer shouldn't make it that much harder, right?
It should add at least 3 steps to the problem. The way my math works.
What's going on? I've already moved over 30 steps, but I'm still not done yet.
Yeah, or sorry, no, it would be, because you'd have to move it each 3 times, so 3 to the factor of 3. Yeah, it should add about 9 steps, so if you're finishing it in 18 steps, it should take you about 29. So 30, you just have made a mistake somewhere.
I'm almost done. Looks like I'm the faster one this time.
Done! It took me 35 steps.
What? How?
This pagoda stack toy is pretty fun to play with.
Good. We'll try it one final time. This time, we'll add 2 more layers, making 7 layers in total.
Oh, that's so much tedium.
Momdu, we've still got quite a few paper strips here. Why don't you give this a go as well?
Do you need that many steps for something this simple? Let me try.
Okay, let's let the adults try now.
Madam Faruzan, allow me to try it as well.
You were looking at it quite seriously just now. Are you starting to understand the principles involved?
Yes. Math.
I think so.
If you want to test out your hypothesis, you'll just have to play and find out.
Got it.
Ah, we don't have enough paper strips left for you, Traveler. However, by the looks of things, you seem to have the game figured out.
Just about.
Why don't you guess what the lowest number of steps needed to solve a 7-layer pagoda stack is?
So it should be 7 times 3, or sorry, 7 to the 3rd power. So it'd be 7 times 7 times 7, right? No, not 7 to the 3rd power. Because you don't have to move the last thing. So if you're doing 18 steps with 4... So I'm going to guess it's 4 times plus... Two? So 7 times 4. Just math this out. Okay. Getting out another napkin. So, 1 line. 3 towers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Fuck it. Adding 1 piece nearly doubled it. 18 to 35. So it means it's either 4... So let's do... Okay, getting a 3rd napkin out. We're trying again. So let's see. 4 required 18. 5 required 35. Which is a difference of roughly 18, 17. which means 6, if we follow this same step pyramid, would require... If it's still doubling, that 6 will take 70 steps, and 7 would take about 140. So the closest thing we have here is 136. So we're going to go with 136.
What a shame. You were close. However, you did well for someone seeing Pagoda Stack for the first time. Let's see how well they do then.
Yeah, I think the correct answer is 140 steps. Or just slightly less than 140.
If I move this small ring, then the big one won't be able to go on top of it. Oh, this is going to take more steps than I expected.
I've lost count of how many steps I've taken. Can I restart?
This got a lot harder.
I solved it! Madam Faruzan, it takes 127 steps in total.
Darn. So it wasn't doubling, it was much more incremental.
That many? But there are only 7 layers.
For every extra layer in the pagoda stack, the move order you need to consider becomes much more complex, and the number of steps required will at least double.
Then my math was right. How did she get fucking 127? I guess my math is wrong because I didn't calculate what the fewest number of steps possible with 4 was. So 4, that means that the kids couldn't get it in the lowest number of steps. So I'm basically at the wrong starting point. So let's do some more napkin math. We'll flip this one over. So 127 for 7. Half of 127 is 64, roughly. Which means it'll be 64 steps for 6. Which means 32. It's roughly 64. It's technically 63 and a half, but we're rounding up to 64. So 32 will be for a 5 stack. 32 would be the lowest possible steps. The kids were getting it in 35. So I was assuming the kids were doing it correct, when I should never have been doing. Which means the shortest possible for 4 should be 16. The shortest possible for 3 is 8. And if it's 2, I guess that it means the shortest possible is 4. 4 steps to get a tower of 2 over. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. We solved it. On a napkin. Okay.
More accurately, it will require double the steps, plus 1 each time. You did well. You didn't underestimate the principles behind it just because it's an early learning toy. The complexity of any given contraption isn't determined by the number of parts it has. The way the parts interact and the rules behind how it operates are important too.
Oh, I see. No wonder you emphasized in your notes that no contraption should ever be underestimated.
I see. So even a simple toy can become complex with the right set of rules.
That's right. The rules used for Pagoda Stack are the simplest kind when it comes to ancient contraption making techniques. I could spend some time picking out all those machines that do something similar and write you a reference book. Once that happens, you can give the volunteers the reference book and paper prototypes and find out which toy is the most popular.
Do you have any other toys?
Yeah! When can we play with them?
In about 2 days or so, I think. Niece, if you're free, can you help me with the illustrations for the reference book?
Of course. I'd be honored.
This was a really fun experiment. And like I said, the underlying principle was math.
2 days should be enough for us to find more volunteers. Then we can organize a huge conference here, at which we can announce which toy we'll be making.
Should I come back in 2 days then?
You'd be most welcome. We need more people to get a healthy range of opinions. The more, the merrier.
Thank you for coming here with me today. I'll walk back with you.
Is Madame Faruzan really going to mentor me? What an honor. I'm sure she'll say helping with illustrations isn't mentoring. So, don't tell her I said that.
No wonder she's so well respected at the academia. When I first saw her, I thought she might be unreliable because she's so young. Don't let her know I said that. Anise warned me about that before.
Yes, Madame Faruzan.
We need to wait 2 whole days before we get the new toys?
It might just be all reference stuff. It'll be a long time before we can play with the real toys.
Guess all we can do is play Genius Invocation TCG in the meantime.
Card games. When will Genshin's card game evolve to be card games on motorcycles, I wonder? Oh, we're going back to the ground level. Yo! Oh, that's a roof. That's the ground level. And over there is sea level.
I'll be going then. Say hi to Tainari and Kale for me if you can. Once everything here is settled, I'll make my way over to Pardistii as quickly as I can.
So about Ksharawar.
You want to ask why I'm unwilling to join them, yes?
I mean, I kind of already know based on what you said earlier.
Putting aside the fact that they're too full of themselves, I actually have no issue with their research methodologies and approach. After all, knowledge is either right or wrong. Superiority and inferiority do not come into the conversation. All researchers are just doing their best to shed light on the unknown in their respective fields of expertise. No matter what corner of the unknown they shed light on, it's a step forward for us all.
Then why do you refuse to join them?
Because I believe wholeheartedly in that principle. Even if the others call my research useless, as long as the knowledge I gain from it is accurate, it could become useful in the future.
That's a good way of thinking.
In the end, useful and useless are concepts that shouldn't be used to evaluate knowledge. When I first started deciphering ancient documents, I didn't think about how it'd be useful to Ksharawar. That's why there's no need for me to join them to do useful research. I'd rather stay in Haravatat. It's much more convenient for me to access the materials I need for my research here. Still, the funding that Ksharawar has offered me is so hard to get in Haravatat. Perhaps if this collaborative project goes smoothly, I can even ignore Haravatat and ask for a higher budget directly from the academia.
Huh. About the collaborative project, do you have any ideas?
Oh, I could come up with lots of ideas. With Anise's help, 2 days will be enough for our work. However, I'm still undecided as to the style of the reference book's text and illustrations.
Try to be accurate and detailed. Try to keep it simple and fun.
You're right. If no one understands the reference book, it doesn't matter how detailed it is. It's better to make it simpler and fun so that children will be interested in the subject. It'll also make it easier for me to recruit students in the long run.
Yes!
Thank you. I'll take your opinion into account. See you in 2 days.
Oh, I'm gonna have to advance the clock. Paimon, do the thing. I wish Paimon was more active and involved in these Hangout events, because it feels really, really weird to me that we have so much of Paimon that I get mentally perturbed whenever we just get any lack of Paimon. I know a lot of people in the community like to meme that they don't like Paimon and that they want to see less of Paimon, but they don't get it. When you have someone who is basically the voice of the main character, since the main character is a voiceless, silent protagonist 90% of the time, when you suddenly take that voice out, the game feels empty and uninvolved. Head to the conference. Why did she come all the way down here to have that conversation when she could have walked off to the side?
Oh, you're here. We're just starting to set up the venue.
We've called up everyone we possibly could have. This is going to be quite the event.
My masterpiece is going to be exhibited after all. Let's see what the Academia shall say about it this time.
The grand and lively event gets underway.
And if we activate this little mechanism just like that, a Sumeru rose will appear at the top of the cane.
Oh, I see.
I thought it came out of thin air. It's amazing.
She made a prop wand with the flower. That's neat.
If the mechanism was bigger, you could make a rabbit appear, right?
Of course, this kid gets it.
Then you can't use a cane. Could you switch it out with a hat or something?
Yeah, these kids are smart.
You're applying what you learned creatively. Not bad. Let's look at the next page. If you fold an origami bird like this, it'll fly further and more stably.
Whoa. You can make a mechanism using just a piece of paper?
Yeah, I used to make those little fortune-telling things all the time. It's mostly folding stuff into eighths back and forth.
The principles at play are even more important than the parts that make up a mechanism.
I actually was never taught or shown how to do that. I saw someone who had one, I unfolded it, and then like years later, out of memory, I remembered where the fold marks were, and I came up with how to make it on my own.
These are pretty cool. I'm tempted to try them out.
I'm not that interested in toys, but if they'll be beneficial for children's development...
Everyone, we have paper prototypes and craft materials that you can use to make your own toys. Come try them out.
This is such a well-prepared event. I'll give it a go.
But we want to play too!
It's fine. We have a lot of paper prototypes and craft materials. All feedback is also welcomed.
Nothing brings a smile to my face like toys.
My origami bird flew further this time.
Professor Faruzan, how can I make mine fly further?
Just madam will do. Maybe in the future, you may indeed get the chance to call me Professor.
I would have appreciated the title now, personally.
You may wish to pay attention to these few details. Here, for example. All right, try it again.
Wow, it really did fly farther.
Madam Faruzan, will we learn origami at the Academia?
Of course you will. If you become a researcher, you can explore any field you like to your heart's content. In the future, if you want, you can even become one of my students.
So also they mentioned this earlier, but I guess I'll address it now. They said that she stopped aging as a result. I thought it was she wasn't aged while she was trapped. Does that mean she's going to continue to never age moving forward? If so, yikes, that sucks.
But Mom and Dad said that there are 6 Darshans in the Academia. Wait, was it 7?
There were 7. The Nagarjunites are the 7th one, or the Order of Skeptics, as some people call them.
Which Darshan teaches about mechanisms in origami?
Well, in this case, it wouldn't be Haravatat.
Oof.
I know. We need to choose Kasharawar.
Huh?
Oof. Faruzan is now realizing the mistakes of what she has done.
I want to attend Kasharawar in the future and fold even better origami birds.
I want to make even more awesome mechanisms.
Actually, the other Darshans do have their own specialties too. For example, Haravatat specializes in... Pay attention, children. Children?
Looks like those early learning toys are a success. However, it looks like recruiting students might be an issue.
How did this happen?
This is what happens when you branch out.
What if we end up in a Darshan we don't like? Does that mean that we won't get to learn about the things we do like?
No, that won't happen. Take me, for example. I'm a researcher from Haravatat, but I research mechanisms. See? The only person able to restrict your curiosity as a researcher is you. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Not really.
I don't know if anyone does, to be honest.
Huh. It's all right. You still have a long road ahead of you. Now, do you want to learn about some other machines? Let me tell you a story about pressure-based mechanisms and elemental monuments.
Ah, that's great. The gardener and the nursery. So long as the pursuit of knowledge brings you joy, I'm fine with it. But won't you reconsider? Haravatot's classes are very interesting too. I'm gonna save that one. That was a great one. This was fun. Ah, the Noel bug didn't happen. Alright. We've gotten to branch out here. Oh, there's a branching path here! Question and answer time. I'm guessing we have to solve the puzzle, right? Oh no, down here.
I'll be going.
Oh, we
Say
can
hi to
fuck up the
Tainari and
book.
Papa for me if you can. Once everything here is settled, I'll make my way over to Pardistii as quickly as I can.
Oh yeah, about a niece.
A niece? We haven't had much time to get to know each other, but she seems like a good kid. She's able to calmly figure out the basic principles behind something without being influenced by others. I'll do my best to teach her over the next few days. Still, how much she learns will really depend on her.
Why don't you take her on as your student?
Well, her interest lies in the application of mechanisms. I do have some old knowledge to share, but if we think about the future, it's easier for her to learn the things she's interested in if she stays in Kasharawar. My research into mechanisms is, in a sense, a side effect of my research into ancient texts. If she becomes my student to learn how to make modern contraptions, it wouldn't benefit either of us in the long run.
I see, I hadn't considered that.
However, if she develops an interest in deciphering ancient texts over these next 2 days, that would change things. If I successfully poach a student, those young punks at Haravatot will have one less reason to cut my budget. Perhaps if this collaborative project goes smoothly, I can even ignore Haravatot and ask for a higher budget directly from the academia.
Do you have any ideas?
Oh, I could come up with lots of ideas. With Anissa's help, 2 days will be enough for our work. However, I'm still undecided as to the style of the reference book's text and illustrations.
Oh boy, we're gonna ruin these kids' streams. Accurate and detailed.
You're right. Explanations are a core part of early developments too. By using detailed and accurate illustrations, we can impart knowledge more effectively. It would also make it easier for me to recruit students. Thank you. I'll take your opinion into account. See you in 2 days.
That one question. Oh no. What have I done? I have a bad feeling I'm going to regret this. Just how over the top does accurate and detailed mean to Madame Faruzan? Oh. It's gonna read like a fucking textbook, isn't it? There have been some textbooks I've read over the years that are really nice and well laid out, but there are some where it's like just dense reading material that you have to force yourself to stay awake just to get through 2 pages of it.
Oh, you're here. We're just starting to set up the venue.
We've called up everyone we possibly could have. This is going to be quite the event.
My masterpiece is going to be exhibited after all. Let's see what the academia shall say about it this time.
This is going to be a train wreck. Grand and lively event gets underway.
To sum up, the 24 forms of pressure-based puzzle mechanisms were used in various ruins.
Uh-oh.
All right, let's go to the next page. Now, I'll explain the base layer design of elemental monuments.
How did things turn out like this? I feel like I'm in class.
Are we done yet? Oh, I'm falling asleep.
I don't understand any of it at all.
Ugh.
Are these really toys?
They sound a bit too dangerous to buy for children.
Who are you?
Well, we've prepared paper prototypes for everyone. If you're interested in the mechanisms Madame Faruzan's talked about, you're more than welcome to try them out.
Oh, this is no fun. Can I try another toy?
I want to go home and play Genius Invocation TCG.
Oh no, this is a train wreck. This is a travesty. Rui, wake up.
Forget it. I don't think anyone would be interested.
I should go home and take care of my children.
The Adventurers Guild is interested, though. The launch event ends on that note.
How did this happen? Forget about getting opinions from others. No one even wanted to stay and try them out.
I'm sorry. I think we miscalculated.
I must apologize, too.
No, you simply gave suggestions. I was the one who decided to follow through. Anise, too, was only following my instructions. I will find a way to make up for this error. Please, give me some time. I'll write another reference book.
Excuse me, but are you the one who wrote this reference book?
Hello, Kamal.
Yes. Who are you?
Ah, you're that man Mountain who was in the crowd just now.
I'm surprised you noticed him.
Do I stand out that much? Well, I guess I don't look like someone who'd have anything to do with toys.
It's brown hair Cyrus.
Let me introduce myself. I'm Kamal, the branch master of Sumeru's Adventurers Guild.
Actually, I do recognize you. I think you're the one that gave us that quest that's talking about the stuff that's posted on the notice boards for, like, the puzzles that require photographs.
What's the branch master doing here? Were you looking for us, or did something happen?
I came to Port Ormos to visit some old friends. On the way over, I saw the booklet you were handing out, so I came to take a look. Can you print a few more copies of this booklet and sell them to the Adventurers Guild? Also, could you make full-fledged models of those paper prototypes and sell them to us as well?
What does the Adventurers Guild want with these toys?
They would be useful for people who explore ruins.
You may see them as toys, but to adventurers who need to deal with all sorts of machines and contraptions within ancient ruins, this booklet is a true treasure. We have many members who can't read, so books are of little use to them. What they know of handling mechanisms has been learned solely through word of mouth.
I'd never stopped to consider that a lot of people in the Adventurers Guild don't know how to read. What is the literacy rate in Teyvat?
Even if the Academia granted public access to all their books, there are people who can't use them.
Ah, and our booklet is practically all pictures.
Well, it is designed for children.
It might be a bit too difficult for children, but it's perfect for adventurers. Also, those paper strips, you called them paper prototypes? If you can make wooden versions for demonstration purposes, even the most illiterate person would be able to follow along and understand. If we can supply a model set for each branch, and if each adventurer carries a booklet with them, then ruin exploration will become much safer.
You really think so? I mean, yes, I always knew it. Knowledge will always be needed, one way or another.
Talk about making the most out of a bad situation. This is turning out surprisingly well.
Making models of contraptions for the Adventurers Guild? To be honest, that sounds like a good avenue to explore to me.
Will there be an issue with the Academia?
We'll probably have to send in a separate application, but it shouldn't be an issue. After all, this concerns safety during the exploration of ruins. It's a problem that the Academia is actually trying to address as well.
Then let's cut to the chase and discuss the details of our first order. The amount we're offering to pay in advance is this much.
Oh, that's so funny. Knowledge is wealth. All knowledge will find its use. That is the motto she lived by. Oh boy. I don't know. That might be the one we use for the thumbnail. I'm not sure. Traditionally mad. I'm assuming it's traditionally made something. Alright, time for another branch. Because we ran into Madad and he was basically talking about the fucking Noel story in Leeway, and the fact that I actually think I've heard that being talked about when we walked by there sometimes, it makes me wonder which endings are canon and which ones aren't. And if they're all canon, how the fuck does that work? Back to Calais. Oh no, the map froze. I only ever get lag in this map in the game anymore during the map screen, and I wonder why that is.
What now? Master said there's
Gotta skip all this. This is all the same. Ah, this is what we're doing last. This is the last branch. Let's think of some way to get her to part as DI.
But if someone does complain to the academia, wouldn't it make Faruzan's situation more awkward?
Oh, most definitely. But now we're doing this for chaos.
And if the academia investigated and found her at Party's DI, things would get even worse for her.
Calais, stop talking sense. We're here for chaos.
Do you have some way to invite her over to Party's DI without stepping on the academia's toes?
I do have the makings of an idea.
Okay then. I'm counting on you.
Huh. I have to teach students from Haravatat or owe Kasharawar a favor. It strikes me that they might be even less happy about such a deal than I am.
I think I can sympathize with them.
Madam Faruzan, we're back! Sorry for asking again, but are you sure you can't go to Party's DI today?
Well, since you're asking me so sincerely, let's just ignore the academia and...
Please, Madam Faruzan, focus! Today's the deadline.
Actually, Tanari wants to invite her over to discuss some research.
Huh?
Yes. I see. No wonder he sent you two over. Why, that lad didn't make it very clear in his letter, now did he? Otherwise, I would have reported it as part of my research.
Yeah, that's right! Master sent us over to explain everything to you.
You didn't make that very convincing, Calais.
Wait. Opportunities for collaborative research don't just come out of thin air. This seems like too much of a coincidence.
It was actually planned days ago.
Also, there isn't much overlap between Madame Faruzan's research and that of Amorta, right? What will you even be collaborating on?
Master wants to research,
Mechanical animals?
A fully automated irrigation system.
A fully automated irrigation system?
Precisely. It's a system that can automatically adjust the amount of water it provides based on the season and the plant species involved.
Oh, like the sprinkler system in my mom's garage. That I had to spend 4 hours reading the instruction manual on to figure out how to operate it because no one else could be bothered to learn. This is why all my family call me with all their problems. It's like, hey, can you figure this out? Hey, can you figure this out? Yes, I can. But so can you.
I saw a similar mechanism while exploring a rune in the rainforest. That's why Tainari wanted to collaborate with me.
A mechanism like that exists? Why haven't I heard of it before?
I actually have seen it. I've seen exactly that. That entire puzzle dungeon that we went through with Jet to reach the Eternal Oasis, that was the ancient irrigation system. It was full of sand instead of water, but that's what it was originally designed for.
I found it 100 years ago, so it's only natural that you don't know about it. Why don't you go ask your teacher's teacher? Perhaps they've heard about it from their teacher.
But we can't prove its existence one way or the other, right?
It exists.
Fret not. I'll have Tainari write an official proposal to the academia later. That should do it, right?
An official proposal. Fine. We haven't made any progress with either the collaborative project or the elective course anyway. I'll go inform my superiors now. Please do take care of the paperwork as soon as possible. Don't delay this any longer.
Sure. I'll be sure to needle him until he gets it done.
The researcher leaves, clearly having some doubts.
Phew. I think she bought it.
That was quick thinking back there.
Even though this is our first meeting, I must say, we make a good team.
Ah, this is our first meeting. Right, yes. I've totally never met you before.
Wow! You made up that excuse on the spot, huh? Madam Faruzan, did you really find an irrigation system 100 years ago? If the Academia asks for any details...
Who knows? It's been 100 years, so it wouldn't be too surprising if I've forgotten a few details, no?
Huh? Then how will we explain things to them?
I'll let Tainari worry about whatever documents we might need to send to the Academia.
Oof.
If I'm right, the request he has in store for me won't be any simpler than the Academia nonsense.
Huh. Well, I guess that worked. Wanderings of a Lonesome Shadow. Back to Party City. So there's going to be a branching path somewhere down this route too, it seems, because we've gotten 3 out of 5 endings.
Where did he go?
You don't have to shout. I can hear you. Well, you got here much faster than I expected. I thought you'd have a lot more business to take care of.
Thanks to the Traveler, I was able to, pawn off various problems of mine onto others.
Onto others? What does that mean?
You're gonna have to do paperwork for her.
We can discuss that later. You're looking for me because of the thing you mentioned in the letter, right?
Oh, that's right. I forgot them completely. I theorized that it might have to do with the mechanical crab.
That's right. Please, follow me.
It is! Karkata!
A monster? Why is there a monster here?
Don't be scared, Kale. This is the mechanical life form the Traveler and I saved a while back. Its name is Karkata. It's the final work of a late junior of mine.
You mean Abatui? He must have been a genius to create one of such polish all by himself. It's uncommon that a Spontamod researcher is able to create such an intricate machine. If he were still around, we could probably chat the day away. What a shame. Something seems wrong here. Have you been maintaining it? Mechanical life forms are much more fragile than they look.
Is Karkata sick?
Maybe? Can machines get sick? I'm not exactly a I don't understand mechanical or elemental properties of artificial life forms.
Karkata has been lying down like this since a few days ago. It could be an old malfunction acting up again.
Ah, a bug.
I've taken a few courses conducted by Spontamod before, so I've managed to perform some passable repairs on Karkata's energy supply module. However, it seems the issue this time is with its transmission. My knowledge can only prevent its condition from deteriorating any further. But Madame Faruzan, you should be able to find a way to repair it.
That's right, he did mention that it was actually regarding banned research. So we should have assumed it was Karkata from the beginning. I had a feeling.
Not necessarily. Mechanical life forms are created using techniques from alchemy, elemental science, and more. There are multiple modules here that influence each other. A simplistic knowledge of mechanisms will not serve here. You know that as well. Each mechanical life form is very different from the next. So even I cannot be sure if my understanding of mechanical life forms is going to be of any use to our little crab friend here.
Poor Carcata.
Carcata.
Can you all go outside for a minute? I need a bit of space. Before I do a thorough check, everything we've just said is but conjecture.
All right. We're counting on you, Madame Faruzan.
Who knew that I'd encounter a mechanical life form in this manner after 100 years?
I didn't know mechanical life forms could get sick too. You have to get better soon, Carcata.
Of course, Kale would be full of sympathy for someone who's ill. I wonder what Dunyarzad's doing right about now.
We'll wait here till Faruzan finishes her inspection. In the meantime, I'd like to talk to you about her.
I also wanted to ask you about her past.
Past, huh? Quite a few people in the academia know about what happened to her. Perhaps it'd be best if I'm the one to tell you.
It probably would be best if she was the one to tell me, but I guess we'll learn it from you.
I've told you before that she had disappeared for 100 years, right? From her perspective, trapped might be a more apt description.
Trapped?
Her exact words were...
That ruin was crawling with traps and coded inscriptions from wall to wall. I did all I could to decipher the code and deactivate the traps to escape the ruin, but there was no way out. I lost track of time, and I ran out of pen and paper. In the end, I had to use stone shards to write on the walls and on the floor to decipher the code. Then, before I realized it, I ran out of space on the walls and floor. I had to calculate all the possibilities in my mind. After that, my memory started to become fuzzy, and my cognition slowed down.
She doesn't remember anything else, including the location of the ruin, and how she finally managed to escape.
Uh-oh. I assumed she got out on her own. That's fishy as fuck. I have a bad feeling that something saved her. And that something might have done so by accident. Like, what if it was like the Fatui opening up those ruins? Who knows?
When she was found in the outskirts of Sumeru a few years ago, she looked exactly the same as she did 100 years prior. However, she was in a stupor and struggled to form sentences. Only after a lengthy recovery period could she speak again. The academia speculates that she must have gotten trapped in an unknown ruin while researching machines a century ago. And because of the ruin's special properties that halted her aging, she was able to use those 100 years to crack the trapping mechanism and then escape.
It doesn't sound like it to me.
Though she had finally broken free, 100 years had passed. Everyone she knew and everyone who knew her was already gone. In the end, even the academia had to rely on century-old records in the Akasha to confirm her existence. Don't make that face. I'm not telling you this because I want to drum up sympathy. She wouldn't want others to pity her because of past events.
I'm just more curious, to be honest.
Rather, she sees that period of entrapment as an experimental error. As a researcher, she must accept everything that results from her experiments, even if they don't fall within expectations.
If it was an ancient ruin with machines in it, what if it was Dainsleif that saved her? Or like our sibling.
Even after going through so much, she's returned to Sumeru and still hasn't given up on her research.
And she was found just outside of Sumeru, so wherever these ruins are, they're just outside of Sumeru. Could it have been the chasm?
Due to changes over the years and drift in academic subjects, she holds some rather strong opinions about the current academia, and she has no shortage of detractors herself. What I want to say is that no matter what era we're in, Faruzan is a true senior researcher. in every sense of the word. She has her own deep understanding of various ruins and machines. If there's a chance, you should talk about them with her. It'll definitely be helpful for your journey.
I'm sure it will.
Master, Madame Faruzan's done.
Oh, let's head over. With any luck, she might have figured something out.
I never thought that I'd encounter a restitution module once again after 100 years. Abatui really installed quite a few impressive things on this. If my guess is correct, this mechanical life form has displayed attempts at self-sustenance before, right? Such as collecting parts to repair itself, for instance?
It has collected parts before, yes.
It used them for something else, but as far as its design goes, it does have a function like that.
I knew it. If I'm not wrong, Karkata's issue lies with its restitution module. Abatui's modified this module extensively, but the core parts and design philosophy are very similar to the principles as I know them. They are all based on principles learned from the ruins.
From the ruins?
The creators of the ruins machine once tried to create a perpetual mechanism that could replace life or even surpass it.
Interesting.
The restitution module is the result of one of their countless attempts. It replicates the behavior of living things to achieve a self-repair function. However, the energy required in maintenance of the module became an issue.
Energy consumption? Maintenance?
It's outside of your field of study, Kale. If you don't want to learn about it, you don't need to.
For example, a living thing's heart can deliver nutrients and blood to various organs. However, the bigger the living thing, the more powerful the heart needs to be.
Yep, that makes sense.
Once the heart is damaged, it'll be hard for that living thing to heal itself, and even the function of other organs can be affected. Thus, the attempt wasn't widely adopted. Even 100 years ago, I'd only seen it once before. Oh dear, this is going to be a problem.
Why is that?
Based on my current research, I'll need to swap out the damaged parts in the restitution module to repair Karkata. But like I just said, the module is rare, even by the standards of ancient machines. Not only that, but there is very little related research documentation available. Finding suitable parts would be like trying to find a single gear in the vast desert, to say nothing of the difficulty in making those parts from scratch. One can only wonder where Abatui found the original parts.
I might have an idea. Abatui was, for a time, quite passionate about excavating the Great Red Sand. This was when he had just gotten expelled from the academia.
You mean to say he found a restitution module in the desert? Well, that is indeed possible.
But the desert's huge! How are we supposed to find the parts that Karkata needs?
Yeah, I'm at a loss for words, too.
According to the Academia's records, no similar parts have been found in the Great Red Sand over the past 100 years. If we want to try our luck, we'll have to explore ruins that have never been explored before.
I do know that a Vahumana researcher formed an expedition team after the sandstorms and earthquakes subsided. They are now exploring areas of the desert that used to be difficult to access.
Should we ask them if they've made any new discoveries lately?
The chances are slim, but it's at least more effective than running around like headless chickens.
What's the lead researcher's name?
His name is Raid. I think he's stationed at the northeast part of the Hypostyle Desert. Let's go look for him once Karkata settles down.
Oh, you and Kale should probably stay. Karkata's condition may be stable, but it would still be better if some of us stay to look after it. Besides, you still need to take care of the trouble that the Academia left for me.
Trouble from the Academia? I thought you said that you pawned it off to someone else. Wait. Don't tell me.
I'll let Kale fill you in on the details. I look forward to seeing your work, Tainari.
Oh, that's funny.
A fully automated irrigation system. That's quite the task.
Master, can I help with anything at all? I can go buy things, prepare pen and paper.
Oh, you know, I seem to remember that you have a lot of homework today.
Huh? Oh, yeah. I do.
Well, Hurry up and finish it so you can sleep early, or Faruzan will worry. That's the best thing you can do now to help.
Oh, okay.
Tighnari's such a great character. You too, Karkata. Alright, heading to the hypostyle desert. What part of the fucking desert is that? Oh, this whole thing is the hypostyle desert. Okay, that makes sense. This looks to be pretty close to where Tighnari passed out during the Paradise of Providence event. That's a big ruin drake.
What is this?
Halt! Mr. Raid's permission is required to proceed any further.
We're not outsiders. She's a researcher from the academia.
That still won't do. Mr. Raid told us to keep people away from the ruins so they don't damage the site.
Damage the site? I've excavated more ruins than you've visited restaurants. Which batch of students is Raid from? I want to see him right now.
He isn't at the campsite now. You should all leave. Only he can give you permission to enter.
What a stubborn guy.
Let's wait for the researcher to come back first. So this is probably the branching. We can wait or we can barge in.
You're right. Even if there is new information, we still have to wait for him to come back so we can ask him about it. So let's just see what we can find out from the people here. I'm going to give that Raid a good talking to when he gets back. Starting from who in the world mentored you?
I hope the irony is like someone that was your contemporary.
Halt! Mr. Raid.
Okay, that just repeats that.
That machine looks amazing. Could it be the legendary Ruin Wanderer?
Maybe?
The location seems to fit too. Might that legend actually be true?
Why are there villagers out here?
The ruins? Don't know anything. We were only hired to deliver water and supplies to them. Forget excavation. They won't even let us get close to the camp where they're staying.
Oh, here's the camp.
This area used to be ravaged by frequent sandstorms, but it's been calm lately for some reason.
I wonder why.
They say that this was done by a single traveler? But seriously, is such a thing even humanly possible?
Wait, did we clear the sandstorms?
Well, I found out everything I could. Is there anything that stands out to you?
The sandstorm's dispersing.
To be honest, the ruins were difficult to excavate in the past, but they really are much safer now, thanks to you.
What did we do to stop sandstorms? Is this like referencing like Nahida's story quest too?
However, I'm more concerned about this Ruin Wanderer they speak of. Ruin Wanderer. That's the first time I've heard that name. But that wreckage did seem a bit weird.
What's so weird about it?
It's a bit far away, and I can't really say for sure from this distance. Perhaps we should ask the villager from before about the legend first.
Did we clear the sandstorms like during the Golden Slumber or something? I don't remember clearing up sandstorms in here.
Huh? What are you guys doing back here?
We wanted to learn more about the legend of the Ruin Wanderer.
I wouldn't blame you for not knowing about it, youngsters. After all, it's a tale that's over a decade old. It's said that this monster, the Ruin Wanderer, traversed through various ruins for centuries. Many adventurers had claimed to see it while exploring. Some said that it was like a giant, while others said that it was like a beast. However, none knew why it wandered the ruins. Then, about 10 years ago, we stopped hearing any news about it in Sumeru. No one has seen it since then, and the legend has since faded into memory. You youngsters probably don't know about the Ruin Wanderer nowadays, but it was famous for centuries.
Centuries? Impossible. I heard nothing about it back then. It could only have been around for a few decades at most.
Wait, back then?
Yep, she was around 100 years ago.
Indulge my curiosity for a moment. Why do you think that wreckage is the Ruin Wanderer?
Well, I had also heard that secondhand from...
You heard that nonsense from the Eremites after they got drunk, right?
Who are you?
That must be Raid.
Madam Faruzan, it is a pleasure. I'm Raid, the one who organized this archaeological expedition. I'd heard of you at the Academia, but I didn't expect to run into you here. Truly, it is an honor. And this must be the famous traveler, I presume. What brings the two of you here?
Have you found any special contraptions and relics in the ruins that you've been investigating?
I'm ashamed to say that we haven't found anything noteworthy, even though we've been investigating for a while now.
Really? That Ruin Wanderer isn't noteworthy to you?
I'm afraid those are mere rumors. Really, I sometimes wish that those people would put as much effort into their work as they do into gossiping.
You're right, sir. I'll get back to work now.
Oof.
The wise do not buy into rumors, so it is said. I believe that you too, Madam Faruzan, do not put any stock into such baseless talk.
It is also said that real knowledge shall come from practice. I can help you research the excavated relics and see if I can find out anything new about them. You can take credit for any new discoveries. I believe this offer to be sufficiently attractive.
In truth, I could ask for nothing better than your help with our research.
What's happening?
However, you two must be tired after a long journey. I'd feel bad if I set you to work immediately. It's getting late and my subordinates and I are heading back to the camp to rest. Why don't you find a place to spend the night first? We can continue our discussion tomorrow. There's a tent that the villagers occasionally use to rest. It's a bit simple, yes, but I hope you won't mind.
Since you need to rest as well, let's do just that.
Okay. Go to the makeshift camp. Back over here again.
This is quite far away. Are they trying to prevent the villagers from eavesdropping on them? This suits us just fine, though. This way, they won't overhear our conversations either. Now, I have my suspicions about this archaeological expedition team and that machine wreckage. I only caught a quick glimpse, and it was from a distance. But based on the condition of the armor and joints, it didn't seem like something that had been lying around for centuries. At most, I'd estimate that it only stopped moving about a dozen years ago.
A dozen?
Yes. The timing coincides with the spreading of the legend. Now, assuming that it really is the Ruin Wanderer, how do you suppose it was able to maintain a relatively good condition despite high-intensity operation over the course of several decades?
The restitution module.
That's right. Technically speaking, the module shouldn't be able to move such a large machine chassis. However, I'm basing my knowledge on the mechanical life forms I've seen before.
You've seen such life forms before?
Well, this was over 100 years ago. It was a machine about the same size as Karkata, actually. It couldn't carry heavy objects or fight, and was only able to help me record some notes. It also helped me deliver letters home. I found it near the desert, which is why I wondered if there might be more restitution modules buried around here.
Mechanical life form from 100 years ago. Is it no longer around?
Honestly, people in ancient times might have already solved the problem of providing enough power for all I know. I'll need to research this properly.
Why didn't you go and investigate earlier?
Had I confronted Raid right there and then, he would have said that he couldn't tell that the machine was special. Then he'd just hand it over to the Academia obediently, and he'd get away scot-free. If the wreckage were to be handed to the Academia, it'd be much tougher for us to do research on it or get spare parts for Carcata. Anyway, we should figure out what they're planning before making our next move. They insisted that we should stay the night, which means if they're trying to pull a fast one on us, they're likely to try tonight. We must be vigilant.
Interesting.
Are those sounds coming from the excavation site? I knew they wouldn't be able to wait. They must be scared that we might discover something tomorrow. Not a single person guarding the campsite. This must be quite the manpower expenditure. I'll see if they left any clues behind at their camp. Keep watch and help me stall them if it comes to that, would you?
No problem.
All right. I'm counting on you.
Why isn't the tent here yet? We need to switch it out tonight.
It's still on the way. I'm afraid this is the first time we're delivering such a huge one.
You good-for-nothings are just a load of trouble, aren't you? We wouldn't have to deal with these interlopers if you had kept those lips of yours from flapping. Hurry up and hide our current tent and deliver the new one to me tonight, no matter what it takes.
Huh? Who's there?
Hi.
I'm sorry. I'm just a bit upset because my
Tumbleweed.
subordinates aren't doing their jobs properly. When did you get here?
What's the tent you mentioned, if I might ask?
It's nothing. Just a tent. We didn't pack up all our tents from the last campsite. Some of them, along with a few people, have been left there. Someone damaged our current tent, so I'm trying to get my subordinates to get one from that previous campsite delivered here.
And you're discussing that over here because...
The relics in the ruins are highly valuable, so I'm worried that treasure hoarders and bandits might try to steal them. Since the tent isn't here yet and I can't fall asleep, I came here to patrol.
There are people who'd steal these relics?
Well, these things are antiques after all. There will always be people interested in buying them. I hired so many people precisely because I was worried about that happening.
Uh-huh.
Speaking of which, I'd like to ask, is the Academia really aware that you've traversed through the desert to come here in the middle of the night? Also, where's Faruzan? Why isn't she with you?
I'm right here. Also, you forgot to address me as Madam.
Pout face.
Sorry, Madam Faruzan.
You were all making so much noise that I couldn't sleep, which is why I got the Traveler to find out what was going on. But for some reason, that one task took forever, so I came to check in on the situation.
I'm very sorry for disturbing your rest. I'll tell my subordinates to be quieter on patrol.
Good. Come on, Traveler. Let's head back.
We're heading back already?
Yes. We came to check out the situation, didn't we? Well, we've already done that. We should get better rest so that we'll have energy to investigate tomorrow.
Was I mistaken? Huh. What just happened? Did I blink and miss something? I feel like I did.
Thanks for dealing with them. Now, I found something good on my end. These are the excavation records from their campsite. According to them, the ruins have been raided before, with numerous traps and contraptions having already been triggered. I also observed the wreckage up close earlier, The weathering is nowhere near as extensive as on the relics that have been buried for over 100 years. There's no doubt that the wreckage in the ruins don't belong to the same era. Instead, it must have wandered into the ruins about a dozen years ago.
So it is the wandering thing.
It could have fallen into a trap or encountered a glitch within the ruins, remaining stationary like that until it was discovered recently. However, I still don't know why they'd want to hide it. I have no doubt that the researcher could definitely reach the same conclusion I did. The last few pages of the excavation records are written in code, which I still need time to decipher. The answer may lie within those pages. It's just wordplay. And if anything, that's my wheelhouse.
Uh-huh.
Just a bit more. Ah, I see now.
Help! Please help!
It got back up.
Why are you running away? Come back! Protect me!
What's that sound? Is it? The Ruin Wanderer? Reactivated? That's impossible! Is this the work of some kind of hidden mechanism? Never mind. We have to focus on saving lives first. I'll cover them. You go stall the Ruin Wanderer.
Alright, so this is the obligatory combat section.
What? It ignored the Traveler?
Why is it chasing after us?
What could have caused it to reactivate? And to give chase?
Darn it! Hey, come on, you lot! It's clear that we can't escape, so let's just attack it!
It turned off.
It stopped?
Hey, you guys, get up there and tell me what's going on.
But what if it suddenly moves?
You good-for-nothings. Why is everyone I hired so useless? Move! I'll do it myself. Looks like this thing's parts can't handle the load of functioning anymore after years of disrepair. When it first reactivated, I was wondering if it'd be as amazing as the legends had pegged it to be. I didn't expect it to be so much weaker than it looks. How disappointing.
Bumbleweed.
Disappointing, you say? Now, is that because you won't be able to sell it for much?
Faruzan, you may be my senior as an academia researcher, but that doesn't mean you get to slander me.
You wrote these excavation records, did you not? Or perhaps calling it a ledger might jog your memory a bit better.
I don't recognize that thing.
January 3rd, excavated 5 tents. January 5th, 3 tents sold. January 10th, 1 special tent pre-sold. It must quickly be switched out with an old tent.
So tent is your code name for relics.
You're supposed to be an archaeological expedition team, and yet here you are, secretly selling the relics and profiting from it. When you believed that you had found the wreckage of the Ruin Wanderer, you tried to switch in wreckage that you had excavated previously to pull the wool over the Academia's eyes. After all, there would probably be many wealthy buyers interested in purchasing the legendary Ruin Wanderer in the black market, yes? And then we arrived just before you could finish your work. That forced you to speed up your plan, and you tried to complete the switch overnight before I could investigate the wreckage. In your haste, however, you accidentally activated the Ruin Wanderer instead. Did I get that all right?
Sounds right to me. We Scooby-Dooed that shit.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You lack the curiosity befitting a man of knowledge, nor do you have respect for mechanical life forms. You're not fit to be a researcher.
Ridiculous. Curiosity?
Ridiculous.
Respect? I'm not here to hear you preach. Hey, we're leaving.
Mr. Aid!
Behind you? Why is it moving again?
Oh, did it just kill him? shit! Watch out!
Some said that it was like a giant, while others said that it was like a beast. However, none knew why it wandered the ruins.
Technically speaking, the module shouldn't be able to move such a large machine chassis. However, I'm basing my knowledge on the mechanical life forms I've seen before. Centuries? Impossible. I heard nothing about it back then. It could only have been around for a few decades at most.
Why is it chasing after us?
So you've been looking for me this whole time?
Kolu.
Long time no see, Tamimi.
Well, that answers my question from earlier.
Dear Faruzan, I hope you're doing well. It has been over 20 years since you went missing. People from the academia keep telling us to give up and that you're most likely dead. But somehow, I feel like you're still alive. Yes, that you live still in some corner of this world. You've always been persistent, able to shine no matter what situation you face. I believe that this persistence serves you well in surviving and finding your way home. Unfortunately, I likely won't be able to welcome you home when you do. I don't have much time left, and my reflexes have slowed. Others keep telling me to stop exploring ruins. Only Tamimi is still the same as before, always running off to places which you've been to. Your teacher and friends came up with an idea to remodel Tamimi, so it can search for you in our place. You didn't like coming home back then and would always get Tamimi to send a letter back. Now we're leaving a letter with Tamimi. I wonder if it'll ever be delivered to you. I don't know the answer to that question, but if you ever read this letter, I hope it'll be when you've already found your way home. I regret not being able to say this to you myself, but I'll still feel sincerely happy for you, my dear daughter.
Welcome home, Faruzan. Look at you, Tamimi. You've changed so much after all these years. Thank you for waiting for me all this time.
You also just killed a man.
I've safely received the letters. Your work is done now. You can sleep.
That's so sad.
Tamimi, the mechanical life form I encountered back then. When I would go on expeditions, it would follow me, take notes for me, and send my letters home. When I met with that accident, it was on the way to deliver a letter for me. I once thought that I'd never get to see it again. I didn't expect my teacher and others to remodel its self-repair function, upgrading it to self-learning. And so, in order to plumb the depths of unknown ruins and overcome dangerous traps, it repaired and modified itself using parts it found along the way. One decade of wandering became many, and soon, Tamimi, which used to be incapable of even moving heavy objects, became the Ruin Wanderer. All so it could deliver these last letters from them to me.
Even though they had all passed on, they still prayed for your safe return.
The strain to support such a huge body must have turned out to be too much for your heart, right?
Mimi.
Even after the remodeling, its restitution module still can't function perfectly in perpetuity. It has been pushing itself beyond its limits over the past few decades. Just like a living being, mechanical life forms have a limited lifespan. It probably became trapped in the ruins all those years ago because its shelf life had run out. It most likely only reactivated because it detected my presence. And then it mustered up everything it had to deliver that last letter. Now, it can finally rest in peace.
This is depressing.
Tainari told you what happened to me, right?
I'm sorry.
You don't have to apologize. It's not like this incident is a secret in the academia. Besides, I've always treated it as a failed experiment. As a researcher, I must accept this result. However, finding out that so many people were affected by my failure does make me feel somewhat conflicted. Can you head back to Pardistii first? We've been here for a while, and it's best not to make Kale and the rest worry. As for me, I want to stay with Tamimi for a bit longer. Just a bit.
Oft-corrected note. I told you not to. Now look, so many people worried, even Tamimi. The messy scribbling has been repeatedly cancelled and edited, leaving barely legible phrases and a single neat message on the back. Hurry up and come home for a meal. Your mom always makes an extra portion of food, you know. Dear Madame Faruzan. Wait, what? The notes and manuscripts we found in Tamimi may have been transcribed and organized, and every one of them has been marked with your name. I hope that even after 100 years, future generations of students will still remember your name, Madame Faruzan. So she was calling herself Madame 100 years ago? The ego. Tamimi's remodeling is going smoothly. As it is now, it can learn how to deal with various dangerous situations in the ruins on its own. I wish you could see it with your own eyes. As I worked, I kept thinking that you'd do a better job at this than I could. After all, you're the most exceptional student I've ever met. To you in 100 years, read all the letters sent to Faruzan. Farazan's head hangs low in silence. The desert breathes gales of wind, and the only sound that can be heard is the scattering rise of spreading grains. I'm really glad that I did this. I can see why everybody says that this was one of the best Hangouts. This feels, or at least parts of it feel, like an actual character story quest that we didn't get to do.
You're back!
Ah, how was your journey through the desert? Wait, where's Madame Faruzan?
Tell the whole truth. Tell everyone what happened in the desert.
Oh no. She finally got to reunite with an old friend from 100 years ago. But
As a researcher, she could perhaps accept it. However, as a friend, student, and a daughter, we should give her some time. Let's just wait for her here. And in the future, I hope that we can be here to support her as her new friends.
Y'all are great people. Wait until a day later. Alright, Paimon. Do the thing. Is there a way to cancel to the progress of time while this clock is setting-wise? Like, that's a nice little quality of life feature that would be nice, just to be able to back out of this. Because the skipping time takes so long. Wanderings of Lonesome Shadow.
I'm back! What? Is there to be no welcoming party?
We've all been waiting for you, Madame Faruzan.
That's more like it. Now, here are some components I brought back from the desert. Switch these out with the ones Karkata is using right now, and it'll be back in ship shape. Huh? Why do you all look so solemn? Come now. Liveliness befits youngsters more.
Madame Faruzan, did these parts come from...
Uh-oh.
Come now. I thought that you must have encountered some major problem. This isn't something you have to worry about. Well, it looks like you already know everything, but no need to feel bad. Like I said before, as researchers, we must learn to accept our failures. Tamimi had been operating beyond capacity for a century, and I'm unable to repair it with my current abilities. Not even with these parts. It would thus be much better to use them to extend Karkata's lifespan. As a senior, it is only right that I do something for the people who come after me. That holds true for both researchers and machines.
You are a truly selfless person.
Besides, I didn't say that I would be giving you these parts for free. They will only be used for Karkata temporarily. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to help me with my research. I'll be sure to revive Tamimi once I've fully deciphered and replicated the creations of the ancient civilization.
All right. I'll do my best to help.
Me too. Although, I'm not sure if I'll be much help.
Me neither, Kale. I am definitely not mechanically oriented.
Thank you. If they could remodel Tamimi successfully even back then, there's no reason why we won't be able to do even better. And when that day comes, I'll be sure to say, welcome home, Tamimi.
Start over. New friends, new life, new beginning. This was a well-written chapter. Although Tamimi did kill a man, so there is that. Which means the last branching path should be somewhere down there. Promise to the future. Time to decide. Oh, I could choose to not share the information. That's the alternate ending.
You're back!
Ah.
Tell everyone the partial truth.
So, Madame Faruzan has some other things to settle. All right. And to think that Raid was doing all those things on the sly. It's good that you all got out of that situation in one piece.
Madame Faruzan will be able to repair Karkata when she gets back, won't she?
Currently, only Faruzan and I know about Tamimi. I should let Faruzan decide whether to tell the others about Tamimi. That's very little change. Still have to wait a day, eh? Alright, Paimon, do the thing. Yeah. Faruzan still remains to be probably one of my favorite characters personality-wise, just because she's very interesting and I like her design. Playing as Faruzan is odd. I've tried it. It's an interesting playstyle. I just don't like the team comps that she slots into. That being said, it does go okay with the Wanderer comp.
I'm back. What? Is there to be no welcoming party?
Madam Faruzan, we're over here.
That's more like it. Now, here are some components I brought back from the desert. Switch these out with the ones Karkata is using right now, and it'll be back in ship shape.
What's gonna change?
So this is a relic of an ancient civilization. Unbelievable. Thankfully, it didn't end up in Raid's unscrupulous hands.
Unscrupulous, huh? Sounds like you already told them what happened.
I told them about the archaeology team, and I told them about Reed.
Is that so? Thank you. We will talk about everything else later. It's nothing. I've already given all the evidence we have against Raid to the Academia. They're going to be very busy. Too busy to bother us, I'd wager.
But didn't it kill Raid?
I'll start repairing Karkata then. Kale, can you help me out? Of course!
After some repairs, Karkata springs back to life. Okay, so this is different.
It looks fine, but even so, it needs to properly rest up.
Faruzan went out after repairing Karkata. She seems to be looking for you for some reason. Well, I will not probe any further. However, if you need any help, do feel free to ask.
It looks fine.
Alright. There we go. Alrighty.
Ah, you're here. Thank you for keeping Tamimi a secret.
You don't plan on telling them?
If I tell them about Tamimi, will they still feel happy for Karkata? Even if we could convince them to accept the components, they'll probably still feel bad about it.
Well, considering we already saw that route, not really. They'll feel bad about it, but it's gonna be happy all the same.
I don't want my past to affect people in the present. That applies to both me and other people.
You don't have to shoulder this all alone. Maybe you'll feel better if you share it with the rest.
It's fine. I'm used to this. I once believed that I'd never hear from my old friends and family ever again. Even their faces are getting hazier in my memories. However, I could remember them clearly again after reading the letter Tamimi handed to me and learning that they'd never given up on me. That's more than enough. I'd be disappointing them if I let myself fall into a slump because of this. Neither my teacher nor my mother would have wanted to see me like that.
This is why you always have to have an adventure buddy. So that way if you get trapped in a dungeon for centuries, you have someone else there with you to talk to.
Besides, you're lending a listening ear to me now, aren't you? Oh, Pardees DI looks pretty scenic at night. Will you take a stroll with me?
It would be my pleasure.
Once Karkata's condition stabilizes, I'll find a chance to tell Tainari and Kale about all that. But for now, just help me keep the secret.
Got it.
Thank you. Whether it's 100 years ago or now, I have people who worry about me. I suppose I should consider myself quite fortunate.
Indeed you are.
The only time when I felt otherwise was when I had just returned to Sumeru. No one came to check up on me then.
Yeah. I can only imagine how painful that was. Welcome home, Faruzan. Madam Faruzan.
Yeah, I'm home.
Welcome back, Faruzan. Where once she was adrift on the sea of time, she has found her home shore once again. That's a nice one. And that's all. Optimal solution. Complete a confounding conundrum and unlock all endings. Got so many of these left to do. Not a lot of secret ones in here, actually. Mondstadt's Note Taker General, read Noel's study notes. Listen to A Knight's Journey Through Leeway. A world known only unto roses. A lot of these are Noel. Sample Barbara's Chili Brew. Activate the mechanism in the treasure. Yeah. We've got quite a bit of these. Oh my god, I have so many of these to claim. Anywho. That's going to be it for now. This took a little bit longer than I thought. I thought this would only be about 2 hours. But then again, I did fill a lot of time and gapping. But we do have one little thing at the end that I wanted to look at. Not there, not there. Here? There we go. I wanted to see if Lisa has any voice lines on Faruzan. Amber, Barbara, Delu, Cleve, Official, Noel, Sucro, Sino, Kale, Mika. More about Lisa, Lisa's life, trouble, food, something, gift, something, gift. Feelings about Ascension. Capabilities, ceremony, Ascension conclusion. Chat, rules, honorifics, conducting research, when it rains, when thunder strikes, when it snows, blowing, good morning, afternoon, night. Senior scholar. Student recruitment, Kasharawar, Haravatat, interesting things, Faruzan hobbies, trouble, something. Feelings about Ascension. Feelings building up. Mentor struggle, solving puzzles, vision, Lesser Lord Kusanali. Tanari, Kale, Sino, Layla, Kave, Nilu. More about Faruzan. There's a lot of these. Feelings about Ascension, conclusion. Interesting. So I need to start farming those friendship quotes. Anywho. I think it's kind of sad that we don't have any connection between those. Those are two characters that I want to see meet each other at some point. Lisa and Faruzan. We got the two Onesans. I'm sure they've met each other, and I'm sure they know about it, or Lisa definitely knows about her. And I wonder if Lisa was considered to be the best student in the last 200 years, Faruzan probably thinks very highly of her. Who knows? Maybe Lisa could have been selected to be one of the sages if she didn't want to be the lazy bookkeeper that she is. But this has been a fun and charming little thing. I look forward to doing more of these in the future. And I don't know what the next big story event's going to be added. We have a few more weeks of that. So we'll probably do another one of these the next time we stream Genshin. And we'll probably do Changyun. Because it's going to be another 6er, and that's going to take a while. And then after we do Changyun, we'll jump into Layla. And then we'll jump back and do Diona. After Diona, we'll jump and do Kave. And then we'll just whittle our way through it to the end. Which I guess that means that we're saving, like, Goro and Yunjin for last, then. If we keep this, up. In the meantime, I gotta work on getting those keys, so I'm gonna have to start playing this a little bit more regularly. Until next time, see you all in the next stream. Bye-bye.